On the day of the wedding, the bride publicly called off the marriage. She said that my stepson is her true love. Then the two of them eloped together. I turned around and called my arch-rival Qingmei. On the other end, Sha Saneng's pleasant voice came through. It's truly rare. What made you think of calling me? I smiled and said, I'm getting married today. Sha Qing let out a light sound. You're getting married today? I sent you a gift. You aren't calling to mock my gift, are you? You're intentionally calling to taunt me, right? I replied with a smile. I heard you're still single. Thinking about getting married today? I'm holding a wedding today. But I still need a bride. Before I could finish, there was a click on the other end. Sha Saneng furrowed her brows and asked, Are you serious? I nodded. When have I ever lied to you? After a moment of silence, Sha Saneng suddenly laughed and asked me, Do you know what the consequences will be if I go? Then I'll have to do 4 things with you every day from now on. I understood the meaning behind her words. A smile could not be contained on my face. I've only been waiting for you for half an hour. After hanging up the phone, my good friend Xu Feng came up and patted my shoulder, comforting me. Actually, Sha Signing is quite good. I smiled and nodded. I know. I chose Sha Signing not because there was no one else to choose from. We were classmates in elementary school, 3 years in middle school and 2 years in high school. We were desk mates for 5 years. But we nearly fought every day. At that time, I didn't understand why this woman liked to clash with me so much. Until the car accident happened. Seeing Sha Signing throw herself at me without regard for her safety, I finally realized. At that moment, a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. The host's voice came through, asking, Mr. Zhang, is the bride ready? The wedding is about to start. I replied to the host with a smile. It will be ready soon. I firmly believe that Sha Signing is not a person who is untrustworthy. 20 minutes later, Sha Signing appeared at the door. I looked at her in surprise. She was wearing a haute couture gown. Everything was exquisite, even her hair was meticulously styled. It's hard not to suspect that she had prepared for this a long time ago. The only thing was that she wore a simple watch on her wrist. I remember this was the birthday gift I gave her in the first year of high school. I didn't expect she had been wearing it all along. Seeing the astonishment in my eyes, she raised her brows in satisfaction and asked, Wen Shuili ran away but was thinking of calling me. Have you been coveting her beauty for a long time? I was just waiting for a day like this. I said confidently with a smile. I'm not lacking in conditions either. It's today. You should thank me for curing your aversion to men. Sha Fenchong was amused by my words. She was annoyed. What do you mean by the buying syndrome? It's all spread by you, okay? She has been academically excellent and well-liked since childhood. Wherever she goes, she is both a top student and a campus beauty. I don't know how many students liked her back in school. After she played a trick on me once, I stubbornly spread rumors about Sha Sixing having a dislike for boys. So much so that she hasn't had a serious relationship even now. She hasn't even held a boy's hand. Do you know how many people your words have scared away? I raised an eyebrow. Then I'll compensate you with a husband right now. You didn't even bother with dating. Sha Sixing put her index finger to her lips and chuckled softly. Sounds good. At this moment, the host's urging voice came through. The wedding of the two newlyweds is about to start. I extended my right hand. Sha Sixing naturally joined her hand with mine. Her delicate little hand firmly linked to my elbow. It made my anxious heart gradually relax. Biao looked at me and asking, Did you change the bride at the last minute? Will your dad agree? I looked confident and assured. Once I get married, I will inherit 15% of Grandpa's shares. You will marry me. You will also receive 10% of the shares. And what is yours will be mine. So by then, I will be the most influential person in the Zhang family. With my confident smile. In a daze, I saw again that young man who never admits defeat. But it seems that Wan Shuili ran away from the wedding. She didn't go through all this for nothing. It's not insignificant either. Otherwise, it would never be her turn even until death. It was the moment for the newcomers to appear. I saw that the bride suddenly became someone else. The faces of the two families' elders changed drastically. Especially Grandma Wen from the Wen family. Wen Shuili's mother was also stunned. She immediately called Wen Shuili. But the phone kept showing that it was busy. It could never get through. So, Mom Wen had to call Wen Shuili's assistant. She learned that Wen Shuili was not present at the wedding. It was because of Zhang Haoyu. Mom Wen's face turned pale. Her lips were trembling with anger. The newlyweds were about to exchange rings. Grandma Wen asked Mom Wen in a deep voice. Have you been able to contact your daughter? Mom Wen murmured with her head down. She's not coming. Wen Shu, who was focused on filming a video, paused for a moment. She asked, a bit slow to realize. My sister is eloping. Is it that exciting? After learning what happened, Grandma Wen was stunned on the spot. Her good upbringing made her hold back her outburst. But her brows were tightly knit together. Countless emotions flashed in her eyes. In the end, she looked at me with deep regret. She has always treated me like her own grandson. I thought the Wen family and the Zhang family would grow closer. Who would have thought it would turn out like this? Wen Mushui looked panicked. What should Grandma do now? Brother Yi Chen is getting married. He won't become my brother-in-law. Grandma Wen sighed in despair. No matter what. Today is Yi Chen's wedding. We have to stay until the wedding is finished before we can leave. We can't let you embarrass Yi Chen. The couple on stage is exchanging rings. I held onto Sha Saneng's fingers. Zhao watched with a smile. Yi Chen, I have parents. And there are no annoying relatives. Marrying me will save you a lot of trouble. But I still want to ask you one last question. Have you thought it through? Marriage is not a joke. I have a bad temper. I like to bully you. I looked at the serious Sha Saneng. Her smile was sincere. Saneng, I am sincere. Although it was surprising to suddenly change brides at the wedding, everyone found it unbelievable. But after all, the people present are all smart. They won't spread it around thoughtlessly. They continued to smile and applaud to bless the couple. After the wedding, because of the scene that happened at the wedding, I can't go back to the Zhang family's house for now. Just as I was about to go back and apologize to Sha Sineng, I didn't expect her to take me to the new house voluntarily, which is also Sha Sis' home. She didn't tell me. Last night she had someone tidy up the house. Asking means she had calculated that Wen Shuili wouldn't come back. The originally quiet house turned into what a new home should look like. Everywhere there were double happiness characters and balloons. I raised my eyebrows, looking at her with confusion in my eyes. When did you prepare all this? Or have you been ready for a long time? Sha Si smiled brightly. It's the first wedding. The box can be sour. I was a bit surprised. I thought Sha Sineng was just here to go through the motions. I didn't expect her to be so serious. Even more serious than I am. Thinking about it this way, I felt a bit ashamed. Besides putting the ring on her, it seems like I haven't done anything. I couldn't even provide the dowry in the new house that should be there for her. After changing my clothes, I came out. I patted my suitcase. I asked her where I would sleep tonight. The action of drinking milk paused. She smiled brightly. If your husband doesn't mind, it's fine to sleep together. I frowned slightly. Two people who have been at odds since middle school have surprisingly become close now. This feels quite strange. She noticed the concern in my eyes. Sha Sineng pointed to the room next door. Your room is over there. I don't know your preferences. Feel free to choose. Sha Si added quietly. Don't bother decorating 7. Anyway, you'll need to return to my room later. My room is arranged according to your preferences. Her voice was too quiet. I began to ask. Sha Si didn't change her expression and changed the subject. When are you going to get the marriage certificate? I thought for a moment and said, tomorrow morning. Sha Sineng made a sound of acknowledgement. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on me. Shen, I told you that you liked him early on. Just wait for this day. Then she asked with a light laugh. As expected. Wen Shuili should be back tomorrow. Are we going on a honeymoon? She wants to take me away before Wen Shuili returns. Let Wen Shuili take her time. I was just about to respond. But my phone rang at an inopportune moment. The honeymoon is not feasible. It's not feasible for now. Can we wait until I'm done with my current project? I asked cautiously. Interested in sex. Happy. Said another word. At the time of the month. About half a month. I spoke to her with a friendly expression. Made Sha Sineng feel completely ecstatic. She immediately nodded in agreement. The next day, we were confused. We first went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate. Then we each returned to our companies. It seemed like getting the certificate was just a formality. Upon returning to the company, I finished a meeting. After confirming the plan, I received a call from my dad, Zhang Hongxuan. Yesterday, when I saw the bride being replaced on site, my dad was very angry. His face immediately fell. Although Wen Shuili is no longer here, I can't just marry someone randomly. Isn't this a joke? Besides, Wen Shuili went to visit your brother, Zhang Yichen, as an older brother. Can't you understand something? Are we waiting for Wen Shuili? My dad is furious but is trying to suppress it. Shen, you think you're all grown up now, so you dare to act so recklessly. Did you get a marriage certificate with Sha Sineng? If you haven't gotten the certificate, bring her to the Zhang house this afternoon. Without waiting for my answer, my dad hung up the phone. I let out a light laugh. This tone is more like interrogating a criminal. I didn't take this matter to heart. I put down my phone and devoted myself fully to work. It wasn't until my lunch break that I remembered this matter. I called Sha Sineng. At this time, Sha Sineng had just finished a meeting. My good friend Su Xiaoxiao was carrying 2 lunches. She came to Sha Sineng's office humming a tune. Su Xiaoxiao smiled and said, Sister Sineng, the first day of marriage and you're already at work. I'm not afraid of Sister Guan getting angry. Xiao Xiao feels that ever since the Zhang family announced the wedding between Wen Shuili and me, Sha Sineng has been living in the bar all day. She almost got drunk to death at the table. At that time, she even teased Sha Sineng. This line is incomplete and does not have a meaningful translation. Likes him but doesn't dare to pursue. But yesterday, when they were at the bar, Sha Sineng suddenly received a call from Zhang Yichen. The originally lively scene quieted down because of Sha Sineng's glance. After finishing the call, Sha Sineng got up gracefully and proudly patted her chest, saying, This lady is going to get married now, leaving the two of them staring at each other in shock. Now, Su Xiaoxiao patted Sha Sineng's shoulder and smiled. You finally got your little husband. Isn't it time to cultivate some feelings? Aren't you afraid of Wen Shuili reacting later? Zhang Yichen was taken away by her. Sha Sineng was playing with her phone. She was contemplating whether to call me. Upon hearing this, she smugly smiled and said, My husband is understanding. You, as a single dog, wouldn't understand or be able to envy it. Showing off affection is fine. How is that a personal attack? Sister Sehong, did you get married on a whim yesterday? Did you get the certificate with your brother-in-law? Xiao Xiao gave a sharp retort. Marriage, you know. It still needs a piece of paper to be reliable. Sha Sineng frowned slightly. It seemed she found some truth in those words. Su Xiaoxiao, however, laughed as if she had caught something to hold against her. Don't just play the victim this time. When Wen Shuili comes back, your brother-in-law will be gone. The conversation hasn't ended yet. Su Xiaoxiao stared wide-eyed at the red booklet in Sha Sineng's hand. She couldn't help but exclaim, Absolutely not. What the hell? Is it real or fake? She rushed in front of Sha Si with sparkling eyes and excitedly said, Can you show me, Sister Sineng? I've never seen a marriage certificate before. Sineng looked at her with an expression that said, You're a single dog, why would you care? Then she placed the marriage certificate in the drawer of the desk, proudly said, "Just take a look. Let's get married." After saying that, she instructed her assistant to get a lock. In front of Su Xiaoxiao, she locked away the marriage certificate. This way, there won't be any thieves. Then she smiled and nodded. Then Signing smiled. "It's kept in the office. She can take it out to look at any time." Xiaoxiao was speechless. It was the first time she had seen a woman value a marriage certificate so much. "You're really something. When did you get it?" Signing glanced at her lightly. "It was freshly obtained this morning. It's still warm." At that moment, my phone rang. Su Xiaoxiao wanted to say something else, but she saw Signing with a flirty look on her face. She indicated that she could avoid it if she couldn't handle it. My voice came out through the phone. "Are you free this afternoon?" Signing's eyes and brows were twinkling with laughter. "As long as you have something to do. I'm free anytime." Xiao remarked that her teeth were about to ache. I couldn't help but facepalm and said helplessly, "Your father-in-law wants to see you." Signing's lips curved up. "It's a small matter. Don't panic." I added one more thing. "Wait for me to pick you up. Make sure to eat well at noon. Dinner tonight won't be that good." Signing said confidently, "Please be a little nice to your wife." I couldn't help but laugh at her. My gloom lifted completely. After hanging up the phone, Xiao had a gossiping expression on her face. She glanced a few times at her phone. "Is it a call from your brother-in-law?" Signing nodded and instructed her assistant, "Help me prepare some gifts in the afternoon. I'm going to the Zhang family." Su Xiao clapped her hands excitedly. "Sister Signing is moving up. Don't be too excited when you meet the family. Don't be cowardly. Show the confidence you have when discussing projects." Sineng raised an eyebrow and chuckled. "You don't need to teach me this." When Shuili woke up and it was already past noon, I saw the wedding video that others posted, and my breakup words. Her mind instantly exploded. I never expected to break up with me at all. When Shuili got dressed, she hurriedly grabbed her phone and was about to leave. At that moment, Zhang Haoyu came in just in time and grabbed her wrist, saying, "Yichen doesn't want you anymore. Are you still going back? He can get a new bride. Why can't you change the groom?" When Shuili coldly stared at him with her beautiful eyes and said, "Last night was a misunderstanding. You're fine now. I'm going back to get married too." As the words fell, Zhang Haoyu gritted his teeth and asked, "Do you really like him this much?" Not even when I almost died was there any calm. When Shuili's breath was a bit hurried, her voice became a bit sharper. "You still have classmates and friends here. It's just a simple car accident. There's no need for me to make a trip in person." But I still came in person, leaving Yichen behind without a care. "What else do you want me to do?" Hearing Wen Shuili call his name, Zhang Haoyu knew she was angry. She said softly, "I'm sorry. I'm just feeling anxious. I'm afraid I might die just like this. I won't have time to see you one last time. I like you so much. I'm scared." Wen Shuili abruptly interrupted him. "Now I've seen you. I have to go back. Let's just let what happened last night pass. It's all a misunderstanding." After finishing, Wen Shuili took out her phone and called me, but it couldn't be reached at all. Having the assistant call me yielded the same result. Wen Shuili was very angry. I actually blocked all their numbers. Wen Shuili called my good brother Chu Feng. Chu Feng sarcastically mocked her. He hung up the phone. Wen Shuili was really angry, but she could only rush back. 4 p.m. I arrived on time under Signing's company building. After picking up Signing, I spoke up to remind her. "After Mom passed away, Grandpa is the one who loves me the most. If Grandpa is difficult with you, please be more understanding." Signing, wearing stockings, shifted her long legs towards me. She looked like a little wife and said, "Hubby, now we are officially a couple. Your grandpa is my grandpa. There's no need for understanding." I was so touched I couldn't help but glance down a few times. Maybe it was because I was too tired from work. Not long after getting in the car, Signing fell into a deep sleep. I deliberately slowed down to let her rest well, until the car drove into my home. I gently woke her up. Seeing Signing's slightly nervous expression, I couldn't help but smile slightly. I got out of the car and took Signing's hand to walk inside. Feeling the moisture in her palm, I comforted her. "We are a lawful couple. Don't be afraid." Signing swallowed hard. She patted back. There was a photo of the marriage certificate. Although she locked the marriage certificate in the office, she still carried the photo with her. Her rosy lips kept repeating, "Lawful couple." Then she followed me into the house. At this time, many people were sitting in the living room. My dad and grandpa, and Wen Shuili's grandmother, Lady Li. I was a bit surprised, but I still stepped forward to greet them one by one. Signing followed suit and greeted them politely. Everyone's gaze fell on their intertwined fingers. Everyone's expression changed slightly. I released her hand and walked up to Lady Li, feeling guilty. "Grandma Li, about what happened yesterday. I couldn't inform you in advance. I am very sorry." In Madame Li's eyes, there was both compassion and regret. She held my hand. She said, half in guilt, half in heartache, "It is the Shen family that has wronged you. Yichen, you don't need to apologize. It is we who were wrong. I only wish for your happiness. I already know what happened yesterday. It was Wen Shuili's fault. I also want to apologize to you on her behalf." Madame Li let out a deep sigh. "Yichen, I won't defend Wen Shuili. It is because I did not raise her well. I caused you such great harm. I'm sorry." After sending away Li Rentong, Signing and I followed my grandfather to the study. My grandfather was still relatively healthy. Just standing there gave off an air of authority without anger. His scrutinizing gaze fell on Xi. "You look a lot like that guy, Xia Yuandong." Sha Yuandong is Sha Sining's grandfather's name. He passed away in the year Sha Sining started junior high. Grandpa and Sha Yuandong enjoyed bickering when they were young, but the two admired each other. Unfortunately, Sha Yuandong left us too soon. Otherwise, he would have been the one marrying me. The partner would certainly not be Wen Shuili. It was hard for Grandpa again. I don't care what your Sha family was like before. Just ask. This line seems incomplete, may need context for better translation. I hope you all can get along well. Sha Sinong nodded obediently. This line appears to be just a name and does not require translation. Don't worry. I have already set up my will. All my assets will go to Yichin. I was taken aback when I heard this. Grandpa waved his hand as well. Sha Sinong glanced at me. Her eyes revealed deep affection. Grandpa, Yichin is my favorite person. I will do my best to treat him well. Grandpa nodded and asked me about some matters in my company. Finally, I saw the old man answer the phone. This line seems incomplete or unclear, may need context for better translation. Sha Sinong went to the restroom. I sat in the living room first. At this time, my dad was sitting in the living room watching the news. I sat opposite him. I dryly called out, Dad. My dad responded with an and took the initiative to start the conversation. Do you know about Haoyu's car accident? I nodded expressionlessly. I know. It seems my dad also knows the hidden details of this matter. He hesitated for a few seconds and said, Haoyu's car accident this time was quite severe. As his sister, Wen Shuili, should go check on him. Don't take it to heart. But you and Sha Sining. Yichin. Are you serious? I felt indifferent inside. I know my dad has mostly given his fatherly love to Zhang Haoyu. I'm not angry, I just find it meaningless. In my heart, marriage is not child's play. My words are very clear. I am serious. My dad couldn't help but think of his own marriage. He carefully observed my indifferent expression to excuse himself. Yichin. Your mom and I interrupted him, my expression calm. There was no fluctuation in my eyes. Ever since mom left, I have let go. Dad, the mistakes you made should not be paid by women. Mom's death is closely related to you. Whether to do it now is still up for debate. You are still my dad now, but you are no longer the dad I respect the most. When you chose to betray me and mom, you have already lost that qualification. My dad was in front of me. He had a sense of powerlessness. So, he decided to stop talking. Fortunately, it wasn't long before the aunt came to say dinner was ready. By the time we finished eating and left, it was already dark. I glanced at the quiet car and couldn't help but ask Sha Sineng. You seem very happy. Is it just because Grandpa didn't scold you? Sha Si is someone who, although there are no scandals, but his style of doing things is quite upright. It's only natural that the old man doesn't like him. Sha Sineng had a light smile in her eyes as she said, I only tell my dear husband. I let out a light laugh. Am I not your legal husband? Sha Sining said calmly. We just need a kiss. I was a bit speechless and raised my eyebrows. Sining, I'm driving. You've been staring at me. I can't drive safely. Sha Sining blushed and said again. Then how about this kiss? We'll make it up at home. She hadn't finished her sentence. I suddenly slammed on the brakes. I looked up and saw a woman standing in front of the headlights. My forehead throbbed violently. I glanced at Sha Sining. Sha Sining tilted her head and said calmly, If you want to go, you can go. I pinched her cheek and said in a gentle tone, I'll go talk to her and clarify things. I'll be back soon, okay? Sha Sining responded with a soft hum. I opened the door and walked out. Wen Shuili rushed over and grabbed my arm. With red eyes, she asked, Yichin? I didn't agree to break up. The wind in the autumn night carried a chill. I quietly looked at her, not showing a hint of anger. It's only been 2 days since we last met. The usually elegant Wen Shuili actually looked a bit disheveled. Wen Shuili sighed. Yichin, don't take your anger out on innocent people. I frowned and forcefully shook off Wen Shuili's hand. Wen Shuili, I am not you. Eating from the pot while looking at the bowl. When you chose to go find Zhang Haoyu, it was the end for us. You clearly could have talked to me. I could inform the guests overnight that the wedding is temporarily cancelled. But you didn't. You have put my Zhang family and my reputation on the ground for you to trample on cruelly. Wen Shuili paused slightly in shock. She started to explain. Haoyu is your brother. He had a car accident. I am so infuriated I could laugh. Wen Shuili, don't forget. Zhang Haoyu's friends and classmates are all there. Just because something happened doesn't mean you have to go. Are you a doctor? What identity do you have to go? Ex-girlfriend. Still under the identity of sister-in-law. Looking at Wen Shuili's shocked expression, I felt a slight sense of comfort. You can't be unaware of how Zhang Haoyu became my brother. I don't hate him. But I will never accept someone who caused my mother's death. Wen Shuili spoke softly. Auntie wasn't killed by him. I was stunned for a moment, then I started to laugh. But there was no warmth in my smile. So you have always thought this way. You, like my dad, are not on the same page as me. It's destined that we can't be together. I firmly believe that my mother's death is connected to them. Since you chose to be with me, you should respect me. Instead of being entangled with him at such an important time. Wen Shuili, I'm not someone who can't live without you. The words, I'm not someone who can live without you, struck Wen Shuili like a blow. My heart felt like it had a hole, being filled with rushing wind. It hurts a lot. Her lips tremble. Yichin, you misunderstood. This matter is my fault. I looked at her coldly and said, Wen Shuili, you've had it easy all your life. You don't know how to refuse others. You're easily soft-hearted. Women like you. To put it bluntly, you're like an air conditioner. I don't need an air conditioner like you. Wen Shuili couldn't stop her tears. Yichin, I love you. This matter, I truly owe you an apology. I shouldn't have left without saying a word to you. You have to come with me now. Let's go back and get married. I looked at her indifferently, as if seeing through the depths of her soul. Wen Shuili, you will never understand how much harm you have caused me. I can allow Wen Shuili to be with Zhang Haoyu, but I absolutely cannot accept Wen Shuili preparing to marry me, while still unable to let go of Zhang Haoyu. How can one heart hold two people? It's really disgusting. Sha Xining's voice sounded from behind. You gave up on Yichen first. Then you have to accept it. He doesn't want to wait for you. She quickly walked to my side. She openly linked her arm with mine. She looked at Wen Shuili provocatively. Wen Shuili stared at Sha Xining with deep eyes. Her eyebrows knitted together. Sha Xining, how dare you blame me while taking advantage of others' misfortunes? Sha's eyes turned slightly cold as she scoffed. Speaking of taking advantage of others' misfortunes, you were the one who created this situation for me. I should thank you for that. There's a hint of provocation in Sha Xining's eyes. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. I feel a headache coming on. I held Sha Xining's hand tightly. I said to her with my head lowered, you should go home early. I'm a bit sleepy. Sha Xining tilted her head slightly. She flashed a mocking smile at Wen Shuili. I was taken to the passenger seat. Sha Xineng walked past Wen Shuili with the posture of a winner. She walked proudly with her head held high in front of Wen Shuili. Wen Shuili became anxious. She rushed to the passenger window, frowning as she whispered, Yichen, have you thought it through? You're going with him now. Then it's completely over between us. I expressionlessly rolled up the window. I'm going home. Wen Shuili couldn't imagine. She actually lost the man she loved the most. Watching the car disappear into the distance, she sat dejectedly by the roadside. Her heart felt completely hollow. Sha Xineng and I tacitly avoided mentioning Wen Shuili. I moved out and lived alone quite early. Life was quite difficult before. I learned how to cook. Later, I found the process of cooking very therapeutic. So I kept insisting on cooking for myself. When Sha Xineng got up, I had already finished my run and prepared breakfast. Looking at the breakfast on the table, Sha Xining, who usually doesn't eat breakfast, surprisingly sat down to slowly enjoy it with me. Twice, Sha Xining seemed to get up. Looking at the empty dining table, she thought there was no breakfast for her. A bit disappointed. Little did she know that when I got in the car, I handed her the cute thermos. She blinked her beautiful big eyes in confusion. What is it? I explained. Breakfast. Sha Xining's lips curled up in a slight smile, but very gentle. Did my husband make this for me? Sha Xining smiled in a carefree and confident manner. I deliberately choked her. The leftovers from this morning. Sha Xining was a bit speechless, but with breakfast, her mood improved. While taking the elevator, I saw Assistant Li Wei munching on a bun. She raised an eyebrow. Li Wei lifted the pan-fried bun in her hand and asked, Sha He, would you like to have breakfast? Sha Xining chuckled lightly. Holding the thermos, she said, my husband made me a loving breakfast. Upon hearing this, Li Wei quickly flattered her. That's impressive, Sha. You've married Mr. Zhang just a few days ago. After finishing her breakfast, she followed Sha Xining into the office. Seeing Sha Xining set the breakfast out, Li Wei shed tears of envy. She suddenly felt that what she had just eaten was all garbage. She casually sent the photo to Su Xiaoxiao. Sha called to ask, Sister Xining, can I try my brother-in-law's cooking? Sha Xining chuckled. If you want to eat, find yourself a husband. Sha was left speechless. Wow, that's impressive. Just a few days ago, you were single like me. Sha Xining happily said. Having a husband is truly remarkable. That night after they returned from the Zhang family, my grandfather gave me 15% of the shares. He gave Sha Xining 10%, and 5% is left for Zhang Haoyu. I will sort out the share transfer documents in the next 2 days. I gave her the portion that belongs to Sha Xining. Sha Xining didn't want it and gave it back to me. I was a bit surprised. Why don't you want what Grandpa gave you? Sha Xining leaned on the sofa and posed. In a lazy posture, she said with a smile, I'm your wife. Didn't you say that? What's mine is yours. Here. It's all for you. I explained a bit embarrassedly. I was just joking that day. Sha Xining stopped smiling. I'm serious. Since we are married, I haven't thought about divorce, let alone the stock price. Even if I gave you my current company, I wouldn't mind. I looked at her with a wry smile. Sha Xining, have you ever regretted being with me? I'm a bit boring. I don't really understand romance. Sha Xining let out a light laugh. It's okay. As long as I understand. I not only understand, I can also teach you. I didn't say anything and still returned the shares to Sha Xining. I left the company. I bumped into Zhang Haoyu while preparing to get in the car. He was waiting for himself in the parking lot. He sat in a wheelchair, his face slightly pale, but he still managed to put on a forced smile. I furrowed my brow and glanced at him a few times. Wasn't he in a car accident? Shouldn't Zhang Haoyu be in the hospital? How did he come back? Zhang Haoyu smiled. I heard you and Wen Shuili had a breakup. I was afraid you might misunderstand. I specially came back to explain to you. The word, quarrel, is really well chosen. It makes me seem particularly ungrateful. I chuckled lightly, leaning against the car door, and said casually, I'll give you 5 minutes. Zhang Haoyu was taken aback. He just mentioned it offhandedly. I didn't expect that I would actually intend to listen to him. Wen Shuili and I indeed had a period of ambiguity before. Later, we had a conflict. She confessed to you. She also sees you as my substitute. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interfered with her in the first place. But this car accident was unexpected. In my desperation, I couldn't find anyone. That's why. I'm really sorry. I didn't know she was going to marry you at that time. I looked at him indifferently and asked back. You said Wen Shuili sees me as a substitute. Does she know about this? Upon hearing this, Zhang Haoyu's expression stiffened. He quickly changed the subject. I didn't know it would lead to this. Can you forgive Shuili? I felt quite distressed seeing her upset. I frowned and spoke in a cold voice. I'm not that familiar with you. Those messy things between you and Wen Shuili. You're asking me to forgive Wen Shuili. What position are you asking me from? Are you the son of the mistress? Zhang Haoyu's face turned pale, probably not expecting me to be so blunt. He lowered his head and gritted his teeth. I know I can't calm your anger. I'll do whatever you want. I hung my head with a cold voice. Can you just die? At that moment, I heard Wen Shuili's voice behind me. Chen. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache coming on. The moment I raised my eyes, I caught a glimpse of a faint smile at the corner of Zhang Haoyu's mouth. I felt a bit helpless. How many years has it been? Still playing the scheming guy act. Wen Shuili rushed over. She saw Zhang Haoyu was also here. Irritation flashed in her eyes. Wen Shuili didn't look at him, but turned to Ji. Her gaze was intense. Her tone was somewhat cautious. Chen, can I invite you to dinner? That night when I went back, she was scolded in turn by her grandma and mom. I understood the importance of the situation. I scoffed out loud. I turned, opened the car door, and closed it again. The movement was smooth and uninterrupted. I didn't look at her even once from start to finish. Wen Shuili furrowed her brows, wanting to chase after him. But she was stopped by Zhang Haoyu's shout. Zhang Yicheng was determined not to turn back. Just give up. Wen Shuili didn't turn around, and after a few seconds of silence, she said, When you had the accident, I chose to see you. It's not that I can't let you go, but I want to end things with you. But I didn't expect that. You would scheme against me, and actually put something in my drink. Zhang Haoyu became anxious and hurriedly explained. I really didn't know you were going to marry him. Wen Shuili turned back with a cold laugh. I don't know. I had my assistant relay a message to Yicheng. Why did you stop me? Zhang Haoyu was left speechless. Pain showed on his face. Wen Shuili gritted her teeth and said, Yicheng was right. Because of my hesitations, you took advantage of me. I let you have the opportunity. You said Yicheng spoke coldly to you, and bullied you. But is that really the case? I won't judge your family's matters. But you shouldn't scheme against Yicheng. He is your brother. He should also have been my husband, Wen Shuili. Wen Shuili shook her head, a sense of helplessness and regret appearing in her deep eyes. Seeing us both come to this point, are you satisfied now? Zhang Yichen held onto the armrest of the wheelchair and looked up at the sky. But he delayed in speaking, but did not say anything. On the 4th day of our marriage, Sha Sining had to go on a business trip. I helped her pack her luggage. Although we don't live in the same bedroom, the decor style of both bedrooms is quite similar. Perhaps it's because we were used to being friends since childhood. Now, suddenly getting married feels a bit uncomfortable. After spending a long time together, we might end up sleeping in the same bed. When I knocked on the door, Sha Sining happened to be taking a shower. She simply wrapped a towel around herself and opened the door. My gaze trembled. I couldn't help but look downward. Sha Sining leaned against the door and asked with a faint smile. My cheeks flushed as I blurted out, Are you hungry? Summer Si Ning followed my gaze and asked in a lowered voice, Are you sure it's that kind of hunger? I quickly turned around in embarrassment and muttered, I'm here to ask if you're hungry. Summer Si Ning was teasing me on purpose. You get hungry as soon as you arrive. I shot her a glare, not in the mood. Let's be serious. What do you want to eat? Summer Si Ning stood up straight, eyes full of smiles. Can I eat you? I was taken aback by her words, my face flushed, and I turned to walk outside. This phrase is unclear without context. Please clarify if needed for translation. Behind me came Summer Si Ning's laughter, like silver bells. Each sound landed just right on my heart, causing my cheeks to flush slightly. I quickly dashed into the kitchen. Summer Si Ning tidied up and went to the kitchen. Just then, I came out holding a bowl of tomato and egg noodles. The golden egg sat atop the white noodles. A few lonely green onions were also sprinkled. With her mouth wide open, she grabbed the chopsticks and started eating. She remembers that year in her first year of high school. After running away from home, she was brought back by me. What she ate was tomato and egg noodles. After I left, she tried out many noodle shops, but none of them could replicate my flavor. Sha Sineng's hand was gripping the chopsticks. She quickly finished the noodles in front of her. Sha Si left in the middle of the night. When I got up the next day, I found her note downstairs. I saw the note left by Sha Sineng on the dining table. The handwriting was just as neat as in high school. On a business trip for a week. Don't think about me. If you really can't hold it in, just give me a call. 24 hours online to chat and eat with you. After finishing breakfast, I quickly tidied myself up. I rushed to the office. After work, I received a call from my good friend Chu Feng. He invited me to go out for dinner. After arriving at the agreed restaurant, I sat down across from him and saw Chu Feng with a sulky expression. He joked with a smile. Why are you so unhappy even after inviting me out for a meal? Chu Feng thought for a moment before taking out a photograph. He carefully handed it over. Chen, you might get angry after seeing this. I glanced at it. It's an intimate photo of Wen Shuili and Zhang Haoyu. In the photo, Zhang Haoyu seems to have fallen. Wen Shuili helped him back to his wheelchair. Zhang Haoyu is a somewhat well-known singer in the music industry. He has quite a few fans as well. When such photos are released, media naturally make connections. The two have finally broken through that barrier. They might be planning to go public. I smiled as I handed the photo back with a casual tone. Why would I be angry? I am already married. Chu Feng smiled with satisfaction and asked, Chen, how does Sha Sinong treat you? You two have never gotten along since school. Actually, Sha Sinong is a pretty good person. If it weren't for the sudden incident she got involved in. What does Shui Li have to do with this? Speaking of Wen Shui Li, Chu Feng was filled with anger. I laughed as I walked. Min said with a smile. No need to be surprised for now. After dinner, I glanced at Chu Feng. I saw Chu Feng staring into the distance. I followed his gaze. A familiar car was parked by the roadside. Zhang Haoyu was sitting in a wheelchair by the road. He seemed to be talking to someone inside the car. Chu Feng frowned, unable to hide his disgust. Isn't Zhang Haoyu in the hospital? How is he able to bounce around in a wheelchair? He can't be pretending, can he? Seeing Chu Feng roll up his sleeves and get ready to fight, I hurriedly stopped him. Let's go. Whether he's pretending isn't our concern. My words were ambiguous. Although the streetlights were dim, even at 7 or 8 meters away, I could still see who was inside the car. Chu Feng scoffed coldly. There is plenty of heart. Our voices are a bit loud. The people in the car looked up upon hearing the noise. Upon seeing my smile, Wen Shuili's hand trembled. She quickly pushed open the car door and walked toward me. Yichen. Wen Shuili called out to me from outside. I did not turn back. But Wen Shuili was not discouraged. She rushed through the traffic, panting, and came up to me. Yichen. Chu Feng glanced at me with concern. I gave him a slight smile to reassure him. Yichen. Listen to me explain. After speaking, Wen Shuili's intense gaze fell on me. I looked through her, calmly looking at Zhang Haoyu across from me, whose eyes were filled with sorrow. I smiled faintly. No. My indifferent attitude made Wen Shuili lose her composure. When we were together, although I wasn't particularly enthusiastic, I wouldn't be as cold as I am now, except for the fact that it was overly cold. It felt as if there were a bottomless chasm in between. Wen Shuili's lips quivered slightly. It seemed like she had something to say. At that moment, my phone vibrated. It was a voice message from Shaw Signing. I intended to convert it to text, but unexpectedly, my hand slipped and I opened the voice message. I landed 17 hours ago. Not even a greeting. Am I just discarded after use? In my ears was that person's sorrowful laughter. I felt my face flush slightly. What was she saying? It could be misunderstood. Chu Feng looked at me with a mischievous smile. Wen Shuili's expression changed dramatically as she incredulously asked, Yichen? You and Shaw Signing? I replied without changing my expression. We are legally married. The implication is that whatever happens, it is still to be expected. An endless bitterness surged in Wen Shuili's heart. The pain and regret in her eyes couldn't be hidden at all. She still wanted to say something. Shaw Signing's call had already come through. I glanced at Chu Feng. I walked a little further away and answered the call. Although I got married to Shaw Sinian, the days leading up to the wedding were quite pleasant for us. Most of the time we were doing our own things. After the wedding, I received a call from her. I was a bit surprised. Shaw Sinian's nonchalant voice came through. Yichen, have you forgotten your wife for a new fling? My heart raced and I blushed as I softly replied. What are you talking about? There was a 2-second silence on Shaw Sinian's end. Then suddenly, she said something shocking. Were you tired last night? Suddenly, I heard bursts of laughter behind me from Chu Feng. I felt embarrassed. I swore that I would never answer Shaw Sinian's calls in front of others again. This woman's lips just won't stay shut. Last night, we didn't do anything. I just boiled noodles for her to eat, okay? The way she said that made it seem like last night we did something prestigious and exclusive. I patiently explained. I just ordered noodles for you last night. Don't talk nonsense. Aren't you on a business trip? Shaw Si replied softly. Just as I was about to speak, I heard Wen Shuili calling out from the other end. Shaw Sineng's eyes flickered as she said, Are you out alone this late? I glanced at Chu Feng and said, Chu Feng and I just finished eating. Shaw Sineng chuckled lightly. Yang Chu is no good. You can't even keep an eye on your own husband this late. I muttered in my heart. How do you know if she can or not? Shaw Sineng seemed to hear my thoughts and said softly, I don't know if she can or not. But can I? You'll have to give it a try. My cheeks turned completely red. My tongue was trembling. I didn't even know what to say. Shaw Sineng sensed my fluster and smiled as she said, I'm not teasing you anymore. Let's not talk about this now. I have a meeting later. You should go back early. I nodded and hung up the phone. Wen Shuili rushed up to me. Her face was filled with pain. Chen, you can't really be falling for her, can you? What do the past 2 years together mean then? I was taken aback for a moment. I didn't expect Wen Shuili to play the victim first. I frowned slightly at her, my tone somewhat stern. You chose to abandon me when you made me feel embarrassed. Have you thought about what these 2 years mean for us? Wen Shuili's face was pale and her tone was low. She looked somewhat dispirited. Yi Chen, I'm sorry. I didn't know things would turn out like this either. I put away my phone. I looked at Zhang Haoyu, who was tightly pursing his lips. I curled the corner of my lips into an ambiguous smile. Shuili, you might not love me as much as you think. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hesitating between Zhang Haoyu and me. I had no expression on my face. Although my tone was light, it conveyed a sense of determination. To be honest, when my grandfather suggested that I marry you, I didn't refuse. At that time, I thought you were quite good. But now it seems you really can't even compare to a single strand of Shaw Sining's hair. Please stay away from me. Seeing you really makes me feel disgusted. Wen Shuili pressed her lips together and fell silent. It felt like someone had cut a big gash in my heart. Blood kept flowing out. My whole heart felt empty. Yi Chen, is there really no possibility for us? Not even a single chance left. Her tone was low, and she didn't even dare to lift her head. Even more, she didn't dare to look at the emotions in my eyes. Afraid of pushing herself into despair once again. The usually proud Wen Shuili had never shown weakness to a man. A hint of sarcasm flashed in my eyes. Wen Shuili, you really make me look down on you now. Receiving the call from Zhang Haoyu. The moment you planned to set off, we had already ended. I have a wife now. I don't want her to misunderstand. You should stay away from me. At that moment, Zhang Haoyu's helpless voice came through. Zhang Haoyu might be worried that Wen Shuili would follow me. In a moment of urgency, he tried to push the wheelchair over. But he didn't expect to hit a stone. The wheelchair tipped over and fell in the middle of the road. Wen Shuili also looked over. I didn't miss the trace of pity in Wen Shuili's eyes. I gave a slight sarcastic smile. Chu Feng smiled at Wen Shuili and said, Miss Wen, your good brother has fallen. Aren't you going to help him? There are so many cars at night. It's easy for something bad to happen. Wen Shuili withdrew her gaze and said to me, I have already severed ties with him. I coldly responded with an oh. Then I turned and followed Chu Feng away. Wen Shuili wanted to chase after us. But behind her, Zhang Haoyu's cries grew increasingly desperate. This made her stop in her tracks. Wen Shuili stood there, both angry and annoyed. She watched me leave with wide open eyes. After saying goodbye to Chu Feng, I returned home. After taking a shower, I took out my phone and saw it was 11 o'clock. Sha Signing should have finished work by now. I recalled the accusatory voice message she sent earlier. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but slightly lift. Back in school, Sha Signing liked to go against me. Even after getting married, she still acts this way. She really hasn't changed her stubborn ways. But now we are married. She is the one I will spend the rest of my life with. I might as well greet her politely. I sent her a message. Are you back at the hotel? Sha Signing, who was in a meeting, glanced at her lit-up phone. She saw the familiar profile picture flash by. Her previously calm heart suddenly raced. It's not over yet. I sent a helpless expression and then said, Your husband is so rich. Why does he still work so hard? Sha Signing was a bit surprised to see my reply. Why is my husband suddenly being so nice? Open black lens bracket, the corners of my mouth slightly lifted. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I'm afraid you might die suddenly. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I won't get any inheritance. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, after bickering for a while like this. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I hung up the phone. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, Sha Signing's mesmerizing laughter still lingered in my ears. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, being interrupted by Sha Signing like this. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I originally felt gloomy because of Wen Shuili. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, but my gloomy mood gradually improved. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, after being busy at work for a few days. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I received a call from my dad. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, he said to come home for dinner tonight. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, just like a boss giving orders to an employee. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, there was not a hint of emotion in his words. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I quietly sighed. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I've long been used to it. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, clearly, we are both his biological sons. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, but my dad's attitude is completely different. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, he thinks Zhang Haoyu has suffered a lot outside. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, he wants to compensate him double. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, but my life hasn't been easy these years either. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, I lost my mother. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, even my dad is cold towards me. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, if it weren't for our blood relation. Close black lens bracket. Perhaps I can't even bring myself to say, Dad. After work, I hesitated and got in the car to go home. I understand that even if I make excuses to delay, it will eventually become gossip. When I got home, I heard my dad's gentle voice at the door. Even a toe can guess who he is talking to. Dad, I'm planning to hold a concert next month. Zhang Haoyu's voice came through. My dad frowned. Your leg isn't healed yet. What concert are you planning? It's tough trying to make a name in the entertainment industry. Your brother is managing the company quite well. Wait until your leg gets better. You should follow him to the company. Zhang Haoyu and I shouted in unison. My dad and Zhang Haoyu turned around to see me. There was a hint of embarrassment on my dad's face, but he quickly relaxed. Yichen, as the older brother, it's your duty to protect Haoyu. I said matter-of-factly, lacking any expression. His major doesn't match. He's not suitable for the law firm. My dad frowned and retorted. Haoyu is your brother. The entertainment industry is a big melding pot. His temperament isn't suitable. I looked at him with a faint smile. When I just took over the company, those old foxes want to take advantage. I've managed to get through as well. You have to grit your teeth and stick with the choices you've made. We're all adults now. We should be responsible for our own decisions. I might be sounding a bit harsh. Zhang Haoyu can't save face either. He looked up at me and explained. Brother, don't be angry. Dad is also worried about me. I'm not interested in the company. It's good to just be my singer. I chuckled lightly. I'm not your brother. You've been studying abroad for a year and haven't made any progress. Just back in the country, you can only rely on rumors to attract attention. World Bank. Is this the result of your studies abroad? Upon hearing this, Zhang Haoyu's expression changed. My dad made a stern face and scolded. How can you say that about your brother? He is still sick. I strode over to the stairs and reminded him. Since he's a patient, he should stay in the hospital. I didn't ask him to come home anyway. For Grandpa's sake. It's already good enough that I didn't kill Zhang Haoyu. After saying that, I didn't care how my dad shouted behind me. I went straight upstairs to find Grandpa. At dinner, my dad mentioned again that he wanted to let Zhang Haoyu go to the company. He wanted to see what Grandpa thought. Although he is Grandpa's son, he is in a difficult position in the company. A few years ago, it was even more because of Zhang Haoyu and his mother. This visit caused a rift between them and Grandpa. Grandpa looked at Zhang Haoyu expressionlessly and asked, "Haoyu, what do you mean?" Zhang Haoyu instinctively tightened his grip on the chopsticks and smiled, saying, "Dad is worried that I might be bullied. But I still have Sister Shuili to take care of me. There should be no problem continuing to sing. Besides, I have a group of fans. It would be irresponsible to suddenly withdraw from the scene for the fans." The old man replied nonchalantly with an uhhuh. "Since you don't have this idea, then let's not bring it up again." Old Mr. Yang's words completely cut off my dad's escape route. My dad's expression darkened. After dinner, he stopped me as I was about to leave. The two went to the yard to talk. My dad got straight to the point. "I know your grandfather has always favored you. He gives you a bit more in terms of stock value. You've seen it too. Without the protection of home, Haoyu's life will be very difficult. Right now, most of the company's shares are in your hands. You should give Haoyu a little bit." The tone was not a suggestion but an order. I was not surprised. When my dad first brought this up, I had already prepared myself mentally. I said slowly and calmly, "I don't owe Zhang Haoyu anything. Why should I share my things with her? Haoyu has no mother. It's just me now." I saw my dad trying to play the emotional card. I paused for a moment and let out a scoff. "I don't have a mother either. You probably forgot how my mom died, right? I will never forgive him." My dad said helplessly with a hint of indifference, "Your mother and I were in an arranged marriage. I won't comment much on the feelings of our parents' generation. I can only say calmly, you have your choices. I also have my own way of dealing with things." My dad's gaze was sharp, and his tone was unfriendly. "You really look down on him like this. He is your brother. It's only fair to share some of the inheritance." I let out a light laugh. I leisurely leaned against the lamppost. A mocking smile appeared in my deep-set eyes. "You also have your assets. If you really care, you could easily transfer your shares to him. I have no objections." Hearing this, my dad said seriously, "Yuan-chan, now you don't listen to a word I say, right?" I coldly replied, "I don't want to completely tear apart the last shred of dignity. If you persist, you might want to consider the consequences." My words carry a serious threat. My dad can definitely tell. His gaze towards me is a bit cold. "Yi-chan, I'm discussing this with you as a father right now. If you are unwilling, when you return to the company tomorrow, in front of the shareholders, I won't be so polite anymore." My dad's meaning is also very clear. Either you give it to me tonight, or you give it to me in front of everyone tomorrow. The next day, when I rushed to the company, Assistant Liu hurriedly handed me the documents needed for the meeting. She hesitated to speak, her eyes filled with panic. I glanced over the documents briefly. Noticing her nervous gaze, I asked, "Is there something else?" Assistant Liu said worriedly, "The box. I saw Manager Zhang in the morning with a few other managers having a meeting. It seems they were discussing matters about you." I raised my eyebrows, smirked, closed the documents quickly, and stood up. "We will meet force with force and cover with earth when water comes. What am I afraid of?" Enter the conference room. A few old guys decisively fell silent. The atmosphere instantly turned silent. I asked my assistant to give a work report. Afterward, I initiated a follow-up. "Does anyone have any objections?" My dad was the first to speak up. "Box. Regarding that land in the east of the city earlier, did we not agree to collaborate with Halen? Why suddenly hand it over to Sha Saneng? Everyone present knows the relationship between Sha Saneng and me." I coldly looked at my dad, who was the first to attack, and said with a smile, "Does Manager Zhang not know? Halen has recently had some scandals. It's inappropriate to hand such a large project in the east of the city to Halen. Handing it to Qing also seems useful. But Sha Saneng's Qing offers us an 8% rebate." My words left everyone present speechless. Moreover, this collaboration was won fairly by Qing. I coldly scanned everyone's faces. There is no possibility of overturning. If there are no objections from everyone, today's meeting is over. I finished speaking and turned to leave decisively. But my dad suddenly stood up. He was well aware of the consequences of standing up, but he also didn't want to put Zhang Haoyu at a disadvantage. My dad stared at my back with a heavy gaze and said coldly, "Zhang Jin, you are still too young. You are too decisive in your actions. You should go through more training. Several shareholders and I all unanimously agree that you should put out some shares. Only then can we create a situation of equal standing." My fingers, hanging by my side, tightened. My eyes felt sore. We are all sons. Yet my dad could force himself to put out shares for Zhang Haoyu in front of the public. Why is it that everything I do can be easily given to others? I remained silent for a few seconds, and when I turned back, there was no emotion in my eyes. I asked in a businesslike manner, "Manager Zhang is questioning my decision." My dad's brows were furrowed. He didn't expect me to be this strong. There was a slight reluctance in his heart. But when he thought of Zhang Haoyu, sitting pitifully in a wheelchair, the balance in his heart unconsciously tilted towards Zhang Haoyu. Zhang, he is too young. Some decisions were made a bit too hastily. This is not a good thing for the company. I can understand Yang's mindset. After all, he is a young person. It's only natural to have a drive and ambition. But Zhang, he needs to remember that everyone has staked their lives and fortunes on you. If you make a wrong decision, all of everyone's efforts will go to waste. I held back my anger and replied with a serious face, "We're all in the same boat. As long as I have a meal, There will definitely be enough for everyone else. Manager Zhang wants to take away my shares. You look down on my way of doing things. Or do you prefer Zhang Haoyu's indecisive style? Hearing this, my dad's face immediately darkened. I let out a light laugh and continued. Manager Zhang is a bit too arrogant. You bring in someone who knows nothing. This is the biggest blunder. My dad is determined to let Zhang into the company. Then I'll use this to my advantage. Let my dad stumble over his own mistakes. My dad saw he couldn't push me. He could only grit his teeth and follow behind me. Zhang Yichen. Haoyu is your brother. You should help him too. I replied coldly without stopping my pace. My mom only gave birth to me. I thought my 2 visits to the Zhang family made things clear enough. But who would have thought that my father, whom I once respected most, could actually stoop this low for the son of his mistress? It's a lie to say it doesn't hurt. My dad followed me into the office. He saw me busy at work, opening my computer without a care. He became anxious. In anger, he rushed over and shut down my computer. Frustrated, he said, "He is your brother. He is also my son." I raised my gaze, my eyes slightly reddening. This caught my dad off guard. I asked with teary eyes, "What about me?" I seized the opportunity to question my dad's guilt. "I am also your biological son. I'm not a child you picked up from the street." My dad was taken aback and awkwardly glanced at me. A trace of helplessness flashed in his eyes. He sat down on the sofa, dejected, and looked down to explain. "Yichen, I am sorry for Haoyu's mother." I felt like I had heard the biggest joke. What nonsense is Manager Zhang talking about? Do you think that makes you worthy of my mom? I was fuming with anger. I grabbed a cup nearby and slammed it down at my dad's feet. The cold water soaked my dad's pant leg. Assistant Liu saw that the situation was dire outside. My heart tightened. I hurriedly called Sha Sining's assistant. Speaking of their connection, it all revolves around their boss. Daily communication is necessary. For example, what I ate yesterday. Whether I have an appetite or who I meet. She picks out the key points to send to Sha Sining's assistant, Li Wei. Then Li Wei relays it to Sha Sihong. Of course, I treat her well. She doesn't find it troublesome either. This isn't the first time my dad has been embarrassed by me. He suddenly stood up. His murky eyes suddenly cleared up. He said to me, "This share, you have to give it. You have to give it, whether you want to or not. This is the only thing I can give to Haoyu. Yichen, I owe you. I will find a way to repay you." After saying that, my dad hurriedly left. As if there was a flood or wild beast behind him. I sat in the chair as if all my strength had been drained. I closed my eyes. I couldn't hold back my tears and they kept flowing. The last time. I told myself this in my heart. This is the last time I will tolerate him. The assistant waited until my emotions had mostly stabilized. Only then did they dare to bring in new coffee. They also cleaned up the office. They also opened the office. Li Wei walked in with lunch. She saw Su Xiaoxiao pulling Sha Sining to discuss what to eat tonight. She cleared her throat lightly. "Sister Sining." Sining raised an eyebrow and looked at her assistant. Li Wei deliberated before speaking. "There's been an incident at Zhanghe." Sha Sining had not reacted much yet. Su Xiaoxiao was already bouncing up and down. "What? Who dares to bully my brother-in-law?" Sining shot her a glance. She covered Su Xiaoxiao's mouth and looked at Li Wei. To let her continue speaking. Li Wei began to speak. "It's like this. Last night, Zhang went to the Zhang family. It wasn't a pleasant affair. Today, Manager Zhang teamed up with several shareholders to force Zhang He to divide his shares. His dad had a fight with Zhang Dai." Upon hearing this, Sahang's face showed some seriousness and displeasure. Mei pondered for a few seconds, her tone indifferent. "Book me the fastest flight." Li Wei hesitated for 2 seconds before speaking. "But there is an important meeting tomorrow." Sha Si's tone was an undeniable affirmation. "Stock. Also, get me a ticket for tomorrow's return." After saying that, she lifted her foot and quickly left. At this moment, I didn't know that Sha Sining was on her way back. I also didn't want her to know about these troubling matters. It's just that my dad is holding on tightly. I was busy the whole day, feeling dizzy. I didn't even eat dinner. When it was time to get off work, I went to the parking lot and sat for a while, looking at the empty parking lot. My heart felt empty as well. If it weren't for Grandpa still being in that place, I would never set foot in the Zhang family for my entire life. My biological father actually forced me to this extent. He pressured me step by step for Zhang Haoyu. Doesn't this just confirm that he cheated during his marriage? If it weren't for considering Grandpa's face, I will definitely call a group of reporters to confront them today. Let's see if my dad feels embarrassed. At that moment, Wen Shuili's voice sounded not far away. I glanced at her wearily. Seeing her coming towards me, I hurriedly got up and walked towards the car. But I didn't expect that sitting for too long. When I stood up quickly, my vision went dark. My legs went weak, and I nearly fell to the ground. "Chen." Wen Shuili ran towards me nervously. I supported myself against the wall and sternly reprimanded her. "Don't come over." Wen Shuili stood still, 3 or 4 steps away from me. "Chen. I don't mean any harm. Let me take you back." Wen Shuili looked at me, biting my teeth and holding on alone. It broke her heart. I was gasping for breath against the wall. I ignored Wen Shuili. After zoning out for 2 seconds, I gritted my teeth and walked towards my car. Wen Shuili stubbornly followed me. A weak voice sounded from behind. "Chen. I'll take you to the hospital to check. Is that okay?" The last sentence was filled with pleading. It was very humble. I stopped, making Wen Shuili's heart leap with joy. She thought I was going to change my mind. She called out tenderly, "Chen." I turned around, but my eyes lacked the softness Wen Shuili hoped for. Instead, they were like an ocean, unfathomable. I asked with a cold laugh, "Wen Shuili, can't you understand human language?" I don't want to see you. The smile on Wen Shuili's face quickly vanished. She stepped back in disbelief. A look of pain gradually appeared in her eyes. Her eyes quickly reddened as she bit her lip and asked, Shen, I really know I was wrong. What do you want for me to be forgiven? I'll do whatever you say. My gaze was filled with disgust. It forcibly interrupted Wen Shuili's attempt to catch up. Wen Shuili asked with tears in her eyes and a low voice. Yichen, we've known each other for so many years. Do you really want to go this far? I chuckled casually. I asked, imitating Sha Xining's manner. Wen Shuili looked upset. Do you know why I agreed to your confession? If it weren't for my grandfather's wishes, I wouldn't have chosen you. Just because you had a flirtation with Zhang Haoyu, I already excluded you from consideration. Wen Shuili's expression darkened. It seemed she wanted to bring something up. Then she stared at me with complicated emotions. Yichen, have you never liked me? I let out a low laugh. I did like you back then. But when you were entangled with Zhang Haoyu, I stopped liking you. I'm a very stubborn person. Once I make up my mind to do something, I won't turn back until I hit a wall. It was true that I put everything aside to be with you back then. And now, I really don't want to see you either. If you don't want me to look at you with disgust for the rest of my life, then don't appear in front of me. This is the dignity I can offer. In my past life, my death was not caused by Wen Shuili, but it is still related to her. I can't convince myself to forgive her. Wen Shuili's eyes were red, as if her insides had been hollowed out. She suddenly bent over, covering her face. Tears flowed from her fingers. I didn't look at her once. I turned and walked towards my car, leaving the parking lot without looking back. Wen Shuili stood frozen, clenching her fists tightly. Her nails dug into her skin, and the blood dripping down fell to the ground. Wen Shuili's crimson eyes watched my departing figure. A sickly smile appeared on her face. Yichen, you can't think of leaving me. You can only belong to me. By the time I drove home, it was already dark. Exhausted, I just wanted to sleep. As soon as I sat on the sofa, I heard a voice coming from behind. Why are you home so late? I was surprised to see Sha Xining suddenly appear. I was a bit taken aback. She stepped forward and approached me. I could smell her light fragrance. I looked up at her. The lights in the living room were on. Only the light from outside the door shone in. I couldn't see her expression clearly, but I could feel the anger radiating from her. I asked softly, why are you back? Wasn't your business trip supposed to last a while? Sha Xining raised her hand, touched my cheek, and said softly, I was worried you might be bullied. I came back specifically to check on you. If I listened closely, I could hear a subtle concern in her tone. Sha Xining didn't continue speaking. She sat down beside me. Silently, she reached out her arms to hold me. Originally, it was because of the trouble between my dad and Wen Shuili. The feelings of irritation dissipated with Sha Xining. I smiled at her. You specially came over without having eaten, right? What do you want to eat tonight? Just a smile from me can break Sha Xining's defenses. Clearly, she has only been away from me for a few days. But Sha Xining seems like she has been away from me for years. That feeling of having something lost and regained, yet fearing the loss again. It really hurts. Sha Xining swallowed hard, her gaze deep, and suddenly asked, Can I eat you? I was stunned. I only felt my cheeks burning. I was immensely grateful that Sha Xining couldn't see my embarrassed expression. She couldn't see how awkward I looked right now. She didn't hear my response. Sha Xining's face was becoming increasingly dark, her lips tightly pressed together. Her eyes seemed to carry a hint of sadness. I suddenly muttered softly, Am I still human? All day long, not thinking about eating. Just thinking about eating people. Though the voices were soft, the two were close. She still heard it. Sha Xining was silent for a few seconds before suddenly letting out a soft laugh. Her laughter was incredibly pleasant. In a good mood, she gently touched my face and said softly, All right, I'll listen to my husband. I won't eat you. So can we go out for dinner now? I'm exhausted after sitting on a plane for several hours. Her tone was rarely playful. I couldn't help but laugh at her. I patted her hand and got up to change my shoes. As we stepped out, Sha Xining tightened her grip on my hand. It was a bit chilly outside the door at night. She shrank her neck a little. The next second, a jacket was draped over her. Sha Xining turned back, her eyes filled with confusion and doubt. She gave me her clothes. Her eyes were very clear, but they stirred a wave of warmth within me. A faint smile lingered on my lips. You are a girl. Just a little. As I said this, my gaze fell on her legs and I raised my brows. You break your legs. Sha Biao made a face at me. She subtly hooked her arm around mine, transmitting her warmth to me. The two of us came back after dinner. I went to the bathroom to fill the bathtub with water, to let Sha Ning take a bath to relieve her fatigue. Suddenly I noticed that Sha Ning didn't bring any luggage back. That means she will be leaving again soon. Then what is her purpose for coming back tonight? When I got lost in thought, I didn't notice Sha Ning quietly walked behind me, watching my eyes gradually blank out. The corners of her lips slightly lifted. I could see the bathtub was about to overflow. Sha Ning reminded me, Honey, are you planning to drown me? I snapped back to reality and saw the water was full. I quickly got up to turn off the water. A flurry of chaos. Water from the shower splashed onto Sha Ning's clothes. She was wearing a white top. At this moment, it was soaked with water. It faintly outlined the shape of her clothes. Sha Ning looked at me blankly, her gaze falling on her chest. She raised her eyebrows and said with a mischievous smile, Are you planning to take a couple's bath with me? My face was burning with embarrassment. I raised my hand to cover my eyes. Don't be shy, darling. Sha Ning let out a light laugh. Her voice was incredibly pleasant. Sha Ning moved closer, removing my hand. Our breaths intertwined. She could see my nervous expression. Sha Si Ning didn't want to pressure me. She was willing to wait until the day I was ready. Sha Si Ning looked at me with a mischievous smile and asked, "Aren't you going out yet? Are you really planning to take a couple's bath with me?" My face turned red until I returned to my own room. The sound that echoed was still Sha Si Ning's mischievous voice. "It's just been a few days since we last met. Why do I feel that Sha Sixing is so flirty?" I pinched my face a few times. I exhaled deeply several times. It took me a while to calm my emotions. My phone, which was placed aside, rang. I picked up my phone to take a look. Chu Feng sent a message in the group. "Chen, Dad is causing you trouble." My expression darkened slightly. "These issues at my home. I don't want to drag them into this." Before I could respond, Chu Feng continued. "Chen, we are good brothers after all. You must tell us if there's anything. I also heard some rumors today. Zhang Haoyu plans to hold a concert. It can't be related to this matter, can it?" After thinking about it, I told them what my dad meant. Chu Feng has a bad temper, he said with righteous indignation. "Isn't he afraid of backlash for doing this? You are his son too." I smiled and said, "This matter, I can handle it myself. I'm going to rest first." After saying that, I wearily put down my phone. I opened my eyes. I just wanted to rest for a while. Little did I know, I actually fell asleep. I was groggily awakened by a knock on the door, with Sha Sining's nervous voice. It took me a few seconds to come to my senses. I shouted to Sha Sining, "I'm fine." When the noise outside stopped, I didn't pay attention. I quickly got dressed and prepared to open the door. Little did I know, Sha Sining had been standing outside the door. She said with a bit of concern, "I knocked on your door but there was no response." After I assured her I was fine, I continued to ask, "Do you have your luggage? Are we still leaving soon?" Sha Sining nodded and said, "Yes. The flight is at 6 in the morning." Her voice was a bit moist. It felt like she was whispering in my ear. My heart trembled lightly and my gaze flickered. I knew the reason why Sha Sining suddenly came back. It would be a lie to say I wasn't moved. I could feel that Sha Sining truly cared for me. I lowered my head and said softly, "Sha Sining, actually, you don't have to be like this. You're so good to me. What if you can't accept me? If you want to divorce me?" I didn't finish my sentence. I actually feel that I haven't completely liked her yet. Maybe it's because I've gotten used to being good friends before. We rushed into marriage without properly dating. I'm afraid of eventually hurting her feelings for me. So, I try my best to restrain myself in the face of her seduction. However, upon hearing my words, the faint smile on Sha Sining's face froze. She walked silently to my side. She silently embraced me. "Zhang Yichen, we are now husband and wife. I never thought about divorce after getting married." Sha Sining paused slightly while holding my hand. Upon closer inspection, her fingertips were trembling slightly. The corners of her mouth curved up. This scene. I've imagined this countless times in my dreams. I blushed a bit, unsure of how to look at her. "Why don't you go take a nap first? I'll call you later." Sha Sayu sat down by my bed, raising an eyebrow at me. "Are you in such a hurry to get rid of me?" She smiled and beckoned me with her finger. "Did the elder bully you?" I knew she came to talk about this matter. I thought for a moment and said, "I will handle it myself." Sha Sinong said irritably, "How will you solve it yourself? They're all a bunch of old foxes teaming up against you. You'll be eaten clean down to the bones." I feel like Sha Sinong underestimated me. I said proudly, "I have my ways to deal with those old foxes." Sha Sinong asked with a light laugh, "So what are you planning to do?" My expression gradually became serious as I pondered for a moment and said, "They want to pressure me with the shares. I'll wait patiently for now. Let's see what their next move is. Counter move for move. You don't need to worry about me." I looked at her seriously and said, "You have your own things to deal with. I don't want to trouble you." Sha Sining lowered her beautiful eyes. "Your matters have never been a bother to me." Sha Sining doesn't like it when I am so polite to her. She enjoys watching me argue with her, just like when we were in school. After chatting with Sha Sining for a while, I solemnly promised that I would report to her every day. Only then did Sha Sining agree to go back to sleep. I set an alarm for her and then went to the living room. After waking up, Sha Sining got dressed and came downstairs. The lights were on in the living room. She slightly raised her eyebrows and walked towards the kitchen. I was busy in the kitchen wearing an apron. There was a delicious breakfast in the thermos, and a drink to relieve fatigue. Sha Si stood silently leaning against the doorframe. The heart gradually filled with warmth. The unpredictable nature of the world, wishes made in my teens. Now, they've actually come true. She probably thought we would have no intersection anymore. After all, our family backgrounds are too different. Years later, she gained the ability to pressure me using her power. Instead, she's willing to take a risk. Fortunately, she succeeded. I packed my things. Turning back, I saw Sha Sining standing at the door. I shyly handed her the thermos and smiled, saying, "Eat these in the car later. Then sleep a bit on the plane." Sha Sining stared at me with unblinking eyes, smiling softly as she asked, "Achin, have you started to like me?" My gaze slightly shook. I didn't know how to respond. Sha Sining sensed my nervousness. She didn't make it difficult for me. She smiled and said softly, "You've worked hard, hubby. Then I'll be on my way." I quickly nodded and saw Sha Sining out the door, until I watched her get in the car and leave. I closed the door with my hand and continued to sleep. But after all this commotion, I couldn't fall asleep again. I got up and opened my notebook. I took out a photo from inside. There was no trace of Sha Sinian in the high school graduation photo. Sha Sinian had to hold up the crumbling Sha family. She faced the predatory relatives all alone. I only know that after hiding for a few years, Sha Sinian personally sent those relatives to prison. And when Sha Sinian appeared on television again, she was no longer the familiar figure I knew. But no matter how things were in the past, I am now by her side. The scene from my past life where she rushed through traffic towards me is forever etched in my mind. The next day, maybe it was Sha Sinian's support, I returned to the office feeling refreshed. Assistant Lu came in with coffee. Remembering the person I met going upstairs, she pondered and spoke up. Nien. The manager has taken the company. My fingers typing pause. Look up with gentle eyes. And then? Assistant Lu was pondering my feelings at that moment. She softened her tone and said, I heard that Mr. Zhao is a ticket for Song Song. I nodded slightly, my hands still moving, and said calmly, let him go. Is there a meeting in the afternoon? Assistant Lu shook his head. No. But you need to go to the construction site in the afternoon. I hummed in response, took a sip of coffee, and said, thank you for running an errand with me this afternoon. The assistant smiled and closed the folder. You're too polite. Then I will go out first. Someone was knocking at the door in the morning. I was busy and did not look up. I just said, come in. Zhang Haoyu was pushing a wheelchair in. Zhang box. Do you have time to chat? I looked outside. My dad was standing outside. His gaze at Zhang Haoyu was filled with concern. I glanced at my watch, my tone serious. 5 minutes. Zhang Haoyu nodded and pushed the wheelchair forward, saying, Yichin. I don't want the shares. You don't need to feel any psychological pressure. I stared at him. I leaned back with a half smile. What do you mean by that now? You came all this way just to tell me. You don't want the stock price. Bang. You play this move quite well. If your heart doesn't want it, you might as well tell Xian and be you. You might as well tell the person outside the door. I took a sip of coffee. I didn't think much of Zhang Haoyu. I never intended to give it to you anyway. Zhang Haoyu's expression stiffened. Yichin. You don't have to be so hostile towards me. I don't plan to inherit the company. He paused and continued speaking. I plan to retire from the industry after this concert. I'll focus on preparing for my wedding. He didn't specify whom he would marry. But we both know the truth. Zhang Haoyu was closely watching my expression. He didn't want to miss my emotions. But I didn't give him what he wanted. I continued working in an orderly manner. I even answered a phone call in the middle. Finally, I raised my eyes to Zhang Haoyu and said, you don't need to tell me about your matters. I'm not interested. I have other things to do. You're good to go. My attitude can be said to be very good. But it's not bad either. In front of Zhang Haoyu, I have tried my best to control my emotions. Zhang Haoyu's lips slightly moved. Just before I was about to open the door and leave, he suddenly turned around and asked, Zhang Yichin, do you really not like Wen Shuili? During this time, Zhang Haoyu has been following Wen Shuili, watching her go from being spirited to a charming girl who gets drunk every night. He even saw Wen Shuili crying downstairs at Zhang Yichin's place. To say I'm not envious would be a lie. He has liked Wen Shuili for many years. The ambiguous events that occurred were also carefully planned by him. It was merely to force me away. But after Wen Shuili knew, she went to find me without looking back. He has never owned Wen Shuili, but he does not regret it. Isn't Zhang Yichin now determined not to turn back? As long as he is ruthless enough, he will find a way to win Wen Shuili over. I said with irony in my eyes. There's no need to test me. Wen Shuili and I have already ended things. His thoughts were pierced by my words. Zhang Haoyu's face turned slightly pale. He forced a smile and turned to leave. My dad outside saw Zhang Haoyu. He looked bad when he came out. He frowned and came forward to push Zhang Haoyu's wheelchair. He asked softly, Haoyu, did Zhang Chen bully you? Zhang Haoyu shook his head and choked out. There are shares. I don't want the shares anymore. Please don't go looking for Zhang Yichin anymore. My dad was a bit angry. He was blaming me in his heart. He clearly told me not to bully Zhang Haoyu. But why didn't I listen? What did Zhang Yichin say to you? Upon hearing this, Zhang Haoyu's tears immediately fell. He said with red eyes, Dad, I want to see Wen Shuili. My dad said seriously with a grave expression, you are not in a suitable state to meet her right now. In other words, Wen Shuili does not want to see him. Zhang Haoyu knows this too. He has only dared to silently follow Wen Shuili these past few days. But my dad feels guilty towards him. Whenever he gets sad, my dad softens his heart. Dad will take you to see her. On the other side, Sha Sineng finished the meeting and returned to the hotel. Su Xiaoxiao saw her enter. Her feet floated over along with the chair to Sha Sineng's side. She looked at the exhausted Sha Sineng and joked with a smile. It seems last night was intense. This line is likely incomplete or a typo and can't be translated. She received an eye roll in response. Su Xiaoxiao boldly leaned closer to Sha Sineng and whispered, Si Ning, we have been best friends for over a decade. This is the first time I've seen you so nervous around a man. Are you starting to have feelings for Yi Chen? Sha Ning felt that she was being asked in return. Do I look like a flirt? Little by little, they got it. Among these few people, Sha Ning is the purest of them all. Even the honest Wen Shuili has had a few boyfriends. Poor Sha Ning, she's in her 20s now. And she's still single. I'm just curious. You rushed back last night with such eagerness. Did Yi Chen feel really touched? Upon hearing this, Sha Ning felt a bit uncomfortable. Touching. Not even a kiss. Thinking of this, Sha Ning looked at Li Wei and asked, did my good father-in-law go looking for trouble today? Li Wei tried to choose words she liked. He did. However, when Zhang Haoyu came out of Zhang Dai's office, his face was very grim. It seems he was bullied by Shan. This is quite surprising. Su Xiaoxiao said with wide eyes, confused. It can't be. Yi Chen looks quite gentle. Sha Xining glanced at Xiao Xiao disdainfully, feeling that she has never seen the world. Who says Yichen has a good temper? He just looks down on people to get angry. Back in school, she could be quite sharp-tongued. She could be quite sharp with Yichen too. Even though Zhang Yichen is so quick-witted, he's still not my match. Li Wei didn't continue speaking. She cautiously glanced at Sha Xining a few times. The atmosphere became instantly oppressive. The meeting just ended. I saw that I didn't reply to the message you sent me. Sha Xining's expression wasn't good. Just then, the phone rang. Sha Xining looked down at it. It was me replying to her message. Sorry, I was at the construction site and didn't see the message. Has your meeting ended? Do you want to rest early tonight? Upon seeing the phone, a smile unconsciously appeared on Sha Xining's lips. The two people beside her were completely puzzled. Su Xiaoxiao leaned over, wanting to take a look. Little did she know, Sha Xining gave her a sharp knock on the head. Su Xiaoxiao covered her head, muttering, "What's this about? How old are you? Acting so shy like a young kid. You don't understand anything." Sha Xining then replied to me, "If I could hear your voice, I wouldn't feel tired." Looking at the message Sha Xining sent, the corners of my mouth lifted slightly. I picked up my phone and called her. Si Keixen happily walked outside with her phone. Su Xiao asked from behind, "Ning, where are you going?" Sha Xining smiled sweetly. "I won't tell you." Sha Xining had just walked out of the room, and eagerly answered the phone. My voice came through the phone. "It's a meeting. Remember to drink more water." Sha Xining smiled. "Yichen, are you worried about me?" I said stubbornly. "Yes. I'm afraid something might happen to you in a strange place. I find it hard to rush over to collect the body." Sha Xining clicked her tongue and said with a Dan Shao, "Male, don't worry. Even if I'm not dead, my possessions are still yours." Upon hearing this, I chuckled softly. "Stop with the nonsense. You didn't get enough rest last night. You should go to bed earlier tonight." Sha Xining readily agreed, like a primary school student who got a sweet reward. I then asked further, "When are you coming back?" Sha's eyes sparkled, doubting whether she had dialed the wrong number, confirming several times that it was me on the other end. "Happy husband, did you miss me?" However, I spoke up. "Next week is Grandmother Li's birthday." I contemplated before speaking, listening carefully to Sha Xining's reaction. Although Wen Shuili and I have come to this situation, but Grandmother Li has been very good to me. Sha Xining suddenly felt a pang in her heart. Her face turned slightly pale. "Do you want to go?" I explained. "I can be considered to have grown up under Grandmother Li's watch. She has treated me very well over the years." Sha Xining took a deep breath. She can't get involved in the matters between me and Wen Shuili. She only knows that I will meet Wen Shuili. Her heart is aching unbearably. It has already come to this point. Is it still not okay? I noticed her unhappiness. I softly called out. Sha Xining tried to make her voice a little gentler. "If you want to go, then go." However, at that moment, I couldn't help but laugh. "I want to go with you." After hanging up the phone, I lay down on the bed. There was a message from Sha Xining on my phone. It was a photo. She was snuggled up in bed. She was simply dressed in pajamas, covered with a blanket. With a faint smile on her face, she said, "To the listener, it's all about propriety. I have already laid down to rest now." I replied to rest well and then set my phone aside. I turned on my computer to continue working. The project in the east of the city needs Sha Xining. It can only officially start after returning to the company. Eventually, the two will inevitably intersect. Unyielding. The priority now is to think how to handle Grandma Wen Shuili's birthday next week. Actually, I don't have to go. But Grandma Li is getting older. With each passing year, birthdays become fewer. Besides, Grandma Wen Shuili is kind to me. I can't let the relationship between me and Wen Shuili make the elderly sad. After finishing my emails, I checked my phone. It was already 11 o'clock. Sha Xining said good night and then there was no response. In fact, Sha Sihong is a bit plain. She deliberately sent a photo, hoping I could be a bit more flirtatious. Who knew I would act like such a straight man? I actually let her rest well. Sha Xining almost laughed in anger. But soon she silently comforted herself. No anger. A husband is found on one's own. Then, in the time I took to reply, she really fell asleep. The next day, I also don't know what Zhang Haoyu said to my dad yesterday. Early in the morning during the meeting, my dad started nitpicking and causing trouble. Even I, a person with such a good temper, frowned repeatedly. In the end, I coldly adjourned the meeting. Meanwhile, there were some minor issues in the company. A senior executive tampered with the accounts. He embezzled 50 million and ran away. I immediately called the police and had the finance department clear all the accounts and send them to me for review. While I was overwhelmed with busyness, the Wen Shuili family was also in chaos. Grandma Li's birthday. Wen Shuili wanted to take the opportunity to see me. She asked her sister, Wen Mushui, to send me a message to make sure I would. Wen Mushui is the granddaughter of Grandma Li's friend. Unfortunately, the whole family had an accident and died. Only Wen Shuili was left as a child. She was 5 years old when she was brought to the Li family. The whole family treated Wen Mushui like their own granddaughter. Wen Mushui has liked to stick to me since she was little. After she found out that her sister was with me, she was happier than anyone else. But who would have thought that her sister would actually run away from the wedding? When Wen Shuili made such a request, Wen Mushui decisively refused. She was raised by Grandma Li. Her features were right, but her values were criticized for being wrong. She stared at Wen Shuili, feeling both heartbroken and angry, and said, "Yichen is already married. Why are you trying to get entangled with him now? When you left Yichen to find Zhang Haoyu back then, how could you think about Yichen now? How to face those rumors?" What is this act of being lovesick now? Wen Shuili never thought that one day she would be disgusted by her own sister. She felt very uncomfortable, and pain appeared in her eyes. Can you help your sister one last time? I've heard that during this time, Yichen is facing challenges from all sides. I'm very worried. I sent him a message from my secondary account, but he found out about my secondary account and deleted it immediately. I called him. He never answers. I genuinely just wanted to help him. After saying that, Wen Shuili looked at Wen Mushui with pleading eyes. She never thought I would take things this far. Now she's feeling indescribably hurt inside. Shuiyu looked at Wen Shuili. Wen Mushui said with a troubled expression. You and I were both raised by grandma. How can we have completely different personalities? No direct translation needed. I don't even like this indecisive look of yours. Let alone with Sha Si. You are not even her match. Do you understand that now Chen Jie is married? Legally, he is now Sha Sinong's spouse. Not yours, Wen Shuili. Wen Shuili's lips trembled, her eyes filled with regret and frustration. I saw. She patted Wen Shuili's shoulder and said, it's all done. I think Yichen is quite happy now. You shouldn't bother him anymore. Wen Shuili shouted with red eyes. But Sha Sinan didn't bring him happiness. I'm just not willing to accept it. Once. Why won't he wait for me? Wen Mushui looked at her speechlessly. If it weren't for our sisterhood, she wouldn't even want to pay attention to Wen Shuili. What is Wen Shuili doing? The scumbag suddenly realized. Planning to chase after her husband again? Where were you earlier? Don't you understand that chasing husbands leads to heartbreak? But in the end, Wen Mushui still feels sorry for her sister. Let me contact Yichen. Upon hearing this, a faint smile appeared in Wen Shuili's eyes. Little Shui. Thank you. Shui glanced at her. There's no need for that. Don't make me do it again in the future. I have a good relationship with Yi Chen. Unlike some people who secretly manipulate things. Wen Mu Shui mumbled while sending me a message. Yi Chen. On Grandma's birthday. Will you come? Half a day passed after sending the message without any response. Wen Mu Shui looked at her speechlessly and shrugged. If it were me, I wouldn't come either. Yi Chen definitely won't meet you right now. Wen Shui Li's red eyes were fixed on the screen. Suddenly, she thought of something. She quickly left to head to my company. I was checking the accounts when the front desk called to say that Wen Shui Li was downstairs wanting to see me. I was exhausted. At that moment, I didn't want to see her and coldly said a single line. Not seeing her. The front desk glanced at Wen Shui Li and added, Zhang He. Li he said she could help you solve the current issue. I coldly laughed and had the front desk give the phone to Wen Shui Li. Zong. As soon as Wen Shui Li spoke up, her voice was gentle and lingering just like before. But all I felt was disgust when I heard her. I pressed down on my throbbing brow, my tone unfriendly. What do you want to do? Group. I can help you with the shares issue. And also with the company's accounting problems you're facing now. I have people to help too. I don't want to see you struggling like this. Can you at least meet me once? Just think of it as a thank you for everything you've done for me these past 2 years. Wen Shuili spoke with a deeply affectionate tone. I wanted to laugh when I heard that. I toyed with the pen and asked, how do you want to help me? Wen Shuili's tone turned serious. Zhang Haoyu wants shares. I'll give him my shares in the Wen family. That way, you won't be put in a difficult position. As for the accounts, I've already had someone help you find someone. I believe there will be results soon. I rubbed my temples wearily, my tone cold. Wen Shuili. Do you think I would still believe you now? Upon hearing this, Wen Shuili was stunned. After a long pause, she finally came to her senses and said, I just wanted to help you sincerely. I let out a light laugh. No need. I can handle my own matters. The reason I called you was, I just wanted to tell you, I already have a wife. After saying that, I hung up the phone mercilessly, leaving Wen Shuili no room to speak further. I put down the phone. I also had no mood to deal with matters. I stood up and walked around. At that moment, Assistant Lu knocked on the door. After coming in, he placed the dessert on the table. I asked in surprise, what is it? Assistant Lu smiled and said, this is the dessert ordered for you by Sha He. She said to eat some dessert when feeling down. After Assistant Lu left, I took the dessert out and placed it on the table. I took a photo for Sha Sineng. Sha Sineng replied quickly. Are you feeling any better? I asked in confusion. How did you know? Did you install surveillance in my office? Sha Sinian smiled slightly. I said it was a mental connection between spouses. Do you believe it? After I sent her an emoji, I put down my phone and ate some dessert. My mood indeed improved a lot. Just when I was about to focus on handling things, Sha Sinian's call came in. Guess where I am? I pondered for a moment, resting my chin on my hand. Smiling, I prepared to respond. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside the door. Then, Assistant Lu hurriedly ran in, shouting, something's wrong with Zhang Dai. Miss Shuili seems to have gone crazy. She rushed in uncontrollably. The class beauty from Wei Jing turned her classmates from 10 years ago into blind boxes. She wants to see how they have been doing. But she didn't expect that the academic genius from Wei Jing is now out of shape and staying at home with the kids. And when she met the school hunk again, he had become a female classmate. She posted the process of meeting her classmates online. Surprisingly, her followers increased by millions overnight. When she continued to meet another classmate, the audience hoped he would meet the one who graduated from the far left. He was an ordinary-looking boy with thick bangs covering half of his face. The class beauty's subconscious thought was surprisingly not anyone. She surprisingly thought it would be difficult. In her impression, this male classmate was quiet and reticent. He often walked with his head down. He was the kind of person with an extremely low sense of presence. She flipped through the graduation photos and thought, and began to introduce herself. The livestream room was suddenly bustling with activity. Have you guys noticed? Every class has a few classmates who go unnoticed. People only remember those who are outstanding or have notable characteristics, even if such people emerge. Who says so? Not fitting in doesn't mean one is unpopular. The atmosphere in the livestream was intense. Class beauty Sha Bingbing quickly stepped in to smooth things over. She also decided to meet this old classmate she didn't remember much about. At this moment, I was donned in a yellow robe, riding my little electric scooter while waiting for the red light. I unexpectedly ran into an old classmate driving a luxury car. He politely asked for my contact number. He confidently said we should get together when he has time. After some time, I received a call from a stranger. Hello, are you Zhang Fan? The class beauty thought for a moment and added, Bing. We were high school classmates. I pondered for a moment. Finally remembered it's the class beauty from our school. I asked, long time no contact? Are you getting married, class beauty Shaw? If it's about borrowing money, forget it. He replied, I'm not getting married. I'm also not here to borrow money. Before she could finish speaking, I continued. Then I understand. Send me the link, I'll help you with it. I'm a new user. The live chat was instantly filled with laughter. This Zhang classmate is quite interesting. However, his response was very realistic. A classmate I haven't been in touch with for many years suddenly contacts you one day. It seems like either they're getting married, or they want to borrow money. Sha Bingbing saw the comments in the live chat. It indeed seems that way. She quickly explained. Classmate, you got it. Using live streaming to create a job. It's to chat with classmates during the live stream. I don't know you yet. I didn't know you had a certain style. I can wait for you. Since the other party said so, I had to agree. Alright then. Are you free next Saturday? I will contact you then. However, at that moment, a sharp-tongued and bitter woman suddenly yelled at me out of nowhere. Just look at what time it is. The takeout is already cold. Can it be eaten? Hearing the voice coming from the other end of the call, Sha Bingbing was stunned. The viewers in the live stream were also stunned. The classmate that got us Bingbing was meeting this time. Turned out to be a delivery driver. I think we should change people for the next episode. What's so special about meeting a delivery driver? I originally wanted to see the comeback of an ordinary person. Perhaps reality is this cruel. Most people are destined to live ordinary lives. Looking at the comments in the live stream, it didn't feel great. Sean suddenly felt uncomfortable. Although she knew this would lose some traffic, she didn't really care. She was the guest. Surprisingly, she managed to arrange a meeting with a classmate. It wouldn't be kept secret. Moreover, she felt that the job wasn't inferior. Delivering food is not a lowly job. They didn't steal or rob. They didn't rob. They earned their living through their own hard work. That deserves our respect. These words made the viewers in the live stream praise her. In the blink of an eye, Saturday arrived. Sha Bingbing had already started the live stream. The viewers in the live stream were excited. Ever since I found out that my wife Bingbing's classmate is a delivery driver, I couldn't help but picture that classmate clad in yellow, riding an electric scooter to pick up Bingbing. Looking at these comments, that scene suddenly appeared in my mind as well. Suddenly, what is there to worry about? The electric scooter is just a tool, she thought to herself. The address we agreed on is coming up soon. Just then, Sha Bingbing saw a luxury car slowly approaching her. What surprised her even more was that the luxury car actually stopped in front of her. Then the car door opened. A seemingly ordinary man walked out from inside. He smiled at her. Long Lin Mei Catering. Long Bing frowned tightly, but most of the time, she would politely decline. I smiled at the puzzled Sha Bingbing. You must be Sha the class beauty. You forgot. We agreed to meet today. The Great Wall shocked, and Sha Bingbing was immediately stunned. The livestream room was also filled with national essence. No way. A luxury car that could be worth millions. I think this luxury car is probably rented. You guessed it right. This car is rented from my home. Actually, Sha Bingbing wasn't sure if this car was rented. But when she saw fans saying this car was rented from his home, she no longer had doubts. But how could she know this was just fan gossip? The door. The more you know. Seeing Sha Bingbing's expression, I was also a bit puzzled. Came out a bit anxious. Just casually drove a random one from home. As soon as this was said, the livestream room exploded with comments. For some reason, seeing Zhang Fan was irritating. Clearly, he was just a delivery driver, still pretending to be wealthy to attract our goddess's attention. Male judgment completed. Sha Bingbing directly ignored those malicious comments. Instead, she looked at me. Her heart was in turmoil. Should she tell him face to face that his identity was exposed? But he was also trying to leave a good impression on me. This turned into driving a luxurious car. Unaware of these, he smiled and said, it was almost noon. The time was approaching noon. How about we find a restaurant to eat? Meal segment. In the car, Sha Bingbing asked me about my current job. I casually confessed that I was a freelancer. She might suddenly think, claiming to be a designer for a certain listed company. At that time, it would make a bunch of netizens laugh. Next, we talked about relationship issues. I told her that I was already married with children. After that, Sha Bingbing immediately became quiet. She seemed taken aback. She had the same thoughts as some netizens. Clearly having a family. Renting a luxury car to meet for appearances. Then she asked about my wife. I sighed and said, she works even busier than I do. Our family doesn't lack her little money. I could only support her. Hearing this, the atmosphere changed. Sha Bingbing almost choked on her own saliva. The viewers in the livestream were furiously criticizing. No translation needed. This guy is really something. Still pretending. What does it mean that the family doesn't lack that little bit of money? Letting the wife spend money. Can actually say this so righteously. Really unbelievable. Speaking of which, I couldn't help but show a fatherly smile. Taking advantage of the red light, I pulled out a photo of my child from my phone. Sha Bingbing took it without much thought. She was instantly stunned. She asked in disbelief, "Are these two kids really yours?" I looked at her with a wry smile. "These two kids are indeed mine. Can't you see they look a lot like me?" No translation needed. Sorry. I was a bit surprised just now. This instantly made the viewers even more curious. They all expressed wanting to see the photos too. After getting my permission, Sha Bingbing aimed the camera at the photo. The livestream chat instantly began to flood with comments again. My goodness. Too cute. These two kids must definitely take after their mom. Didn't you guys notice these two kids? Do they resemble the versatile diva Yi Kexin? Could it be that their mother is the diva Yi Kexin? The diva wouldn't marry a delivery driver even if she were blind. All the viewers watching the livestream were stunned. Long immediately picked it up and took a closer look. This is simply a miniature version. Suddenly, she asked with a smile, "Can I go to your house to see your kids?" The viewers also want to see the little ones. I smiled and nodded in response. "We'll pick up the kids from kindergarten at 2 this afternoon. We'll go together then." Long was a bit taller than Sha Bingbing at that time. After all, the diva Yi is her idol. Seeing the miniature version of the diva, she was very happy. Soon, the car drove into an old restaurant parking lot. Surprising. You know this restaurant is indeed. If you dine here once, it might cost as much as an ordinary person's salary for 2 months. Everything here is too expensive. I think we should change to another place. Seeing this, I waved my hand. We've been classmates for so long. No need for me to be so polite. This line appears cut off and incomplete. Moreover, making money for me is just a matter of minutes. But my answer made netizens think I was putting on an act. This Zhang classmate is just too funny. Doesn't he know how much he weighs? He even brought our Bingbing to such a high-end restaurant. Although Sha Bingbing didn't see the comments in the livestream, she knew there must be netizens laughing at me. He really wants to tell me that his identity as a delivery worker has been exposed. Don't keep boasting. But then again, I saw Sha Bingbing suddenly go silent. I smiled and said, "It's just the right time for me to teach you how to make money quickly." After saying that, I drove around the parking lot. When I saw a luxury sports car worth $1 million backing into a parking space, the car suddenly accelerated. Speed. In the blink of an eye, it was parked behind the sports car. At this moment, Sha Bingbing and the viewers were both puzzled. There were clearly plenty of parking spaces. Yet, it didn't go for someone else's spot. Just when the viewers thought I was going to commit insurance fraud, my action left them all stunned. At that moment, the sports car owner was angrily cursing. Meanwhile, I pulled out 800 yuan and handed it to the owner. I couldn't be bothered to look for another spot. Just take this and find another spot. However, the sports car owner frowned. He directly took out his wallet. He didn't even look. He grabbed a handful of cash and threw it in front of me. Then he laughed coldly. I was pretending. At this moment, in the passenger seat of the sports car, a beautiful woman hugged the owner and sweetly praised him. "Honey, you just had such a manly vibe." When the sports car owner left, throwing cash around so flamboyantly, the viewers widened their eyes and exclaimed, "Oh my." Sha Bingbing was also in disbelief. But at this moment, I picked up the cash from the ground. I smiled at her and said, "That guy is quite rich. 8,500. We have a source for our lunch today." A peek at the situation. The corner of my mouth. To take her view lightly. But at this moment, the audience in the livestream was shocked. Oh my. In just a few minutes, I earned over 6,000. This money is too easy to make. 100,000. Now lying in the hospital. Was hit by the other car owner. Will. I waved the cash around. And took Sha Bingbing into the restaurant. She glanced at the menu. Quite expensive. In her eyes, I was just trying to save face. To eat in a comparatively high-end restaurant. But seeing my composed demeanor made her feel a bit dazed. Made her think that I often came here. At this moment, I shook my head and said to Sha Bingbing, "Classmate Sha, I wanted to tell you something all the way here. Although I usually don't watch live streams. But I think your live stream isn't good. It's very dull and uninteresting." Upon hearing this, Bingbing froze. Why would you think that? She was quite unconvinced. She also felt frustrated deep down. I am a top-tier streamer with millions of followers. Head. Used as an informal phrase to imply leader or top. She shared her views. We barely interacted the entire way. Even though we are just ordinary classmates. But this is a live stream. Even if they are strangers, they still have to act like familiar people to communicate. She certainly knows this. But the problem is she doesn't ask. However, the audience in the live stream reacted even more. A delivery driver pretending to be rich. How can our Bingbing interact with that? It's to give you face. If it were me, I would directly say it to his face. You, a delivery driver, are just pretending. You even want to teach me how to live stream. Sha Bingbing noticed the comments in the live stream. She couldn't help but sneak a glance at me. Exposure value. If I tell him the truth, he would definitely be embarrassed to death. But if I don't say anything, his actions will only make the viewers laugh at him. Just when Sha Bingbing was conflicted about whether to, a private message popped up. It was from her best friend and business partner, Zhou Shuya. "I know what you want to do. Don't tell him about the studio yet. It's the peak time for the live stream. After the live stream ends, we can invite him to join our studio. Guarantee he can become a millionaire internet celebrity. His income will definitely be higher than delivering food." In Zhou Shuya's eyes, Zhang Fan is also a talent. Not to mention his show-off behavior. just talking about how to get rich by grabbing parking spots. This kind of thinking is not something ordinary people can come up with. Seeing the message. Long time. The Big Stone 3. I smiled and shook my head. Are the viewers mocking me for pretending to be rich again? Upon hearing this, Sha Bingbing widened her eyes. You got it. Then I smiled and said again. I also know that when we first met, netizens said that my car was rented. In fact, you really don't need to care about those online comments. Just know that those who are not doing well in reality will expose their true nature on the internet. Express their so-called opinions without restraint. It's nothing but jealousy at play. This is human nature. As a streamer, you should be more open-minded about it. Upon hearing this, Sha Bingbing was stunned. However, the viewers in the live stream burst out laughing at this moment. He thinks he's some big shot, an expert or a professor, and is lecturing others. A delivery driver. How could we possibly be jealous of him? I hate people who pretend to be rich even when they're poor. If I didn't know the truth, I would have almost thought he was some successful person. I didn't know that what I just said caused many netizens to be unhappy. I looked at Sha Bingbing and smiled. Our old classmates are meeting up. Just ignore what others say. Take it easy. No need to worry too much. It seems like he has been the one initiating the conversation from the start until now. Later, he even took the initiative to teach the viewers how to get rich quickly. Thinking of this, she felt a bit conflicted inside. She cleared her chaotic thoughts from her mind. The audience asked, Classmate. I remember that I often had holidays in my senior year of high school, and it was quite common. Moreover, back then, it was not on the internet. I smiled and nodded. Yes. That year in senior year, some land at home was expropriated. Compensation was in the hundreds of millions. After hearing this, the livestream chat exploded instantly. It was laughable. Only someone who hasn't graduated from high school would say something like this. Can knowledge be measured in money? Money will eventually run out, but knowledge flows like an endless spring. I support that. Culture definitely doesn't work that way. So, the question arises. If you had a choice between 100 million and an admission letter from Tsinghua or Peking University, which one would you choose? Sha Bingbing did not pay attention to the comments in the livestream. There were inquisitive comments, but looked at me with confusion. So you dropped out because of a compensation of several hundred million. Just stopped attending school. I shrugged casually. The purpose of attending university is to gain more knowledge. University can already provide that. There's one victory. There's only one lease. That is, you just let me ask casually. But you can't answer so indiscriminately. As expected, the live stream is about to explode again. At the same time, netizens have already captured me and turned it into a meme. What can be learned in university? Making money isn't something that happens in an instant. The demolition compensation at home isn't much. Several hundred million, I never expected. My meme seemed to be pushed by an invisible pair of hands. Quickly spread on the internet. Bingbing looked at me. She regretted a bit. I had initially told Zhang about the identity exposure, leading to me becoming more addicted to pretending now. Even though the food at this restaurant is extremely delicious. But at this moment, she had no mood to taste anything. She took a deep breath and glanced around. Learning. You said your land was expropriated. How can there be hundreds of millions in compensation? But as far as I know, except for some cities, the compensation for land expropriation in most rural areas is generally not high. Hearing this, the audience in the livestream became excited. How good. To hit the nail on the head. Let's see how she pretends this time. However, I wasn't worried at all. I thought it was something serious. Although the compensation for most rural land acquisition is indeed low, my family's land is fairly unique. Therefore, the compensation was a bit higher. Hearing this, the viewers in the livestream became unconvinced again. Bingbing, don't believe him. If there were over 100 million in compensation, I would livestream eating olive. No matter how unique the land is, as long as the compensation in rural areas is not over 100 million, it wouldn't even reach a few million. Sha Bingbing did not care about the comments in the livestream. She just felt disappointed by my words. In her impression, I am an honest and straightforward person. I didn't expect that after entering society, simple people can also become complicated and restless. Immediately, her expression turned serious. She laid out a profound truth. At that moment, I couldn't explain too much. So I changed the topic, and started talking about the past. I joked. Class beauty Sha still loves to give lessons to people. Then I asked again. Do you know why I agreed to meet up? Long Qian said. The question. What does she think? AREN. Because if it's about meeting male classmates, it's 90%. More than 90%. Seeing her puzzled expression, I smiled faintly. Back in high school, I was quite introverted, and I wasn't good with words. So no one would take the initiative to talk to me. But you were the only one who would often ask about my grades, encouraging me to study hard. Perhaps for you, this is a trivial matter. But for me, it made me feel like I wasn't so overlooked. Hearing this, Sha Bingbing's cheeks turned slightly red as she looked at me. I think many people must remember you. She wasn't blushing because of my words, but because the reason she would do that was actually for the rank in her grade. But this is something she definitely can't stop. Meanwhile, in a certain film crew, many crew members were watching. A stunningly beautiful woman in traditional costume. The woman in ancient costume had perfectly shaped eyebrows and refined nose, exuding elegance. Every gesture showcased her graceful beauty. She was human. But this woman in ancient costume was not just anyone. She was none other than Yi Kexin, known as the national goddess. Perhaps those who don't know Yi Kexin think she is proud and aloof. But those who know her understand that she is a very warm person. Many people are curious about who could marry such a woman, whether inside or outside the industry. Yi Kexin's husband remains a mystery to this day. But everyone knows her husband is not ordinary. Zhang Fan has an old box from a certain entertainment company. He wants Yi Kexin to accompany him. He even threatened to blacklist her if the service wasn't satisfactory. But who would have thought that entertainment company would go bankrupt in just a few days? This surprised many people in the industry. It's known that this entertainment company ranks among the top 3 major companies in the country. This also made many realize the power behind Yi Kexin. At that moment, she was sitting in a chair reading a script. Suddenly, a faint voice rang out beside her ear. Zhang Fan is so funny. A person who didn't even graduate from high school actually says that university didn't teach him anything. Yi Kexin thought she must have heard wrong. She didn't take it to heart. But that low voice came again. Actually, I can understand Zhang Fan. Why he wanted to rent a luxury car to meet the class beauty. So she stood up and walked over to those 2 girls to ask. I just heard you all discussing it with great interest. Don't you know? Can you tell me? Suddenly seeing Yi Kexin appear beside them, the 2 girls hurriedly responded. Goddess Yi. We were just watching a live stream. It's a very popular female internet celebrity live streaming, meeting former high school classmates. This episode's male classmate is quite interesting. Listening to the 2 girls' words, Yi Kexin took the phone and looked at the live stream. There was an ordinary-looking man having dinner with a very beautiful girl. They were chatting and laughing. Seeing this, Yi Kexin's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly. Her red lips curled into a lovely smile. This scene left both girls stunned. It was truly beautiful. After Yi Kexin returned the phone to the girl, she smiled and thanked her. Then she nodded slightly and left. After she returned to her seat, she immediately took out her phone and opened the previous live stream. The comment section was being flooded with messages. They are all saying Bingbing has that appearance. Plain and unremarkable. Mediocre in looks. Yi Kexin looked at the comments from the viewers. Her red lips curled up again. She watched the live stream with great interest. But when she saw the comments saying the man was pretending to be rich, her brows furrowed. The assistant beside her felt the air around them. It seemed to be getting colder. Fish group buying. A man's voice interrupted my conversation with Xia Bingbing. It was my high school classmate Lin Tianyu. He sat down with an air of humility, but the look in his eyes clearly had a hint of mockery. His appearance made many female viewers in the live stream starry-eyed. Xia Bingbing immediately stood up to introduce. But I spoke up instead. I know. We saw each other a few days ago. Then I invited him to have dinner with us. Just then, a beautiful piano sound echoed through the hall. After a while, the piano music slowly faded away. The hall was silent for a moment. Applause erupted all around. Lin Tianyu smiled at Xia Bingbing. The pianist just now didn't play very well. How about I could play a piece instead? I am a disciple of Mr. Li Yiguo. Long. You know, Li Yiguo is a well-known pianist in the country. Lin Tianyu smiled confidently. He slowly walked to the piano in the center of the hall. Enjoying the attention of those around him, he slowly raised his hands. Then his fingers danced lightly across the keys, like a noble prince, instantly capturing the attention of all the women in the hall. Soon, a piano piece was finished. Applause rose from the crowd around. Don't be fooled by Lin Tianyu's calm demeanor. Inside, he felt quite proud. Bingbing, what do you think of my playing? It's very nice to listen to. Xia Bingbing had never formally studied piano. She just thought it sounded good. After receiving the class beauty's affirmation, he cast a disdainful glance at me again. Classmate Zhang, what do you think? I said without thinking. Played all right, but still far from the pianist who played earlier. There's still a long way to go. Lin Tianyu almost laughed at my words. He wanted to point at my nose and say something. You, a delivery driver. What do you know about playing the piano? In the live stream room, there were also some viewers who thought Lin Tianyu didn't play very well. But soon, their comments were drowned out by the trolls. At that moment, Lin Tianyu said in a sarcastic tone, why doesn't classmate Zhang play a piece too? Let me learn a thing or two. I nodded and walked slowly to the center of the hall. Then, the beautiful sound of a piano began to resonate. It was the piano piece that Lin Tianbao had just played. And in the live stream, wow, he can play the piano too. This time, Zhang has successfully tricked us again. It was clearly a piece of music. Why do I feel that Zhang Fan plays better than Lin? In fact, it's not just the netizens who feel this way. They feel extremely shocked. Even Xia Bingbing feels very shocked. Meanwhile, Lin Tianyu's expression is becoming increasingly gloomy. At the same time, Longguo Capital Music Academy. A classroom is surrounded by beautiful melodies. All the students gathered together to watch the live stream. Do you all feel that? Zhang Fan plays even better than our teacher Lu. A group of students is whispering there. Little do they know, a middle-aged man is walking over slowly. The middle-aged man lightly cleared his throat and said seriously, don't you know the class has started? It's still playing a Mozart piano piece. Teacher, this isn't a playback, someone is actually playing. 1000. A look of shock flashed in his eyes. Seeing his expression, a student asked, Teacher, how is the level of the person streaming on the piano? The teacher said at the beginning, I am not as good as him. All the students were stunned. You should know that teacher Lu's piano skill is quite high in the academy. The teacher quietly savored it. He felt a silent emotion inside, and the person in the live stream gave him the feeling that he was playing like Mozart. And Mozart is universally recognized as the best pianist in the world. Nobody knows his identity. The teacher saw the live chat room, where someone criticized Zhang Fan's poor playing. He immediately took the student's hand and replied, I am a teacher at the Kyoto Music Academy. This is part of my job. This is my piano examination certificate. I can confirm that Zhang Fan's piano skill is very high. At least higher than mine. Once this comment was made, the entire live chat room was instantly flooded with comments. You should know that the Kyoto Music Academy has a very high status in Longguo, not to mention those who teach at the Kyoto Music Academy. At that moment, Lin Tianyu noticed Sha Bingbing staring at her phone in a daze. He then opened his mouth to ask. He raised an eyebrow. He then brought up what was happening in the live stream. Upon hearing this, Lin Tianyu frowned. Is it possible that the teacher is fake? Naturally, Lin Tianyu did not believe that Zhang Fan's piano skills could be that high. But to avoid others misunderstanding that he was jealous, he explained again. Bingbing, you know that nowadays on the internet, there are too many things that are real and fake. Any picture can be faked. And Lin Tianyu's words also drew the attention of the haters in the live stream. Classmate Lin is right. Who knows if that so-called Kyoto Music Academy teacher is real or fake? Nowadays everything can be photoshopped. Perhaps that Music Academy teacher has credentials that are photoshopped too. However, what they didn't expect was, Teacher Lu saw someone say that his credentials were photoshopped. He immediately contacted the Academy Publicity Department to have them publish an explanation. Upon learning about the post from the Kyoto Music Academy, Sha Bingbing was extremely excited inside. Sha Bingbing was at her best. Sha Bingbing was very excited inside. Lin classmate. Look, the Kyoto Music Academy just posted on their official microblog. It says that this teacher Lu is really a teacher at the Kyoto Music Academy. Lin Tianyu smiled with a hint of sarcasm and replied, I didn't expect Zhang classmate to be this impressive. Even the teachers of the academy praise him. A flash of resentment and jealousy crossed his eyes. Clearly, he should be the one enjoying the admiration of beautiful women. But it was all disrupted by that scoundrel Zhang Fan. Just then, the originally cheerful piano music suddenly became quick and urgent. The hurried and lively notes echoed in the hall, like waves in a storm, making one feel as if their heart was following the music. At times, emotions surged. At times, the heart felt tense. Everyone was stunned, silently enjoying this piece of music. After a while, I finished playing this Moonlight Sonata and slowly stood up. The entire hall was silent. After a brief silence, everyone stood up and applauded. The applause echoed throughout the hall. It was even more enthusiastic than when Lin Tianyu had just performed. TCH. I felt like a victorious general returning home. Zhang classmate, I didn't expect you to be so low-key. You were pretending not to understand the piano before. That shouldn't be the case. Lin Tianyu smiled warmly, but his words hinted that I was playing mind games. Clearly, you can play the piano but are pretending you can't. I slowly shook my head and said, I only know a little. Lin Tianyu was left speechless. You call that knowing a little? What does that make his skills? But thinking about how he didn't even graduate from high school, what good is it if he plays the piano well? He's still just a delivery driver. Classmate, who did you learn piano from? Long nose. Self-taught in some spare time. I play the piano just for fun, I said with a smile. Hearing this, the livestream chat became lively again. Perhaps this is reality. Playing the piano is a hobby. Delivering food is a way of life. The facts prove, no matter how talented a person is, without financial support, one can only bow to life. Everyone watching the live stream. Bing's eyes suddenly became complex as she came in. As her eyes arrived, Sha Bingbing came. Not alone now. He needs to support his family. Family power. Where is there so much time to pursue one's interests? Classmate Zhang. If you have any difficulties, you can tell us. After all, we are all classmates. Can help. We will definitely help you. Although this is a live stream. But don't put on a brave front for the sake of appearances. Lin Tianyu sighed. It seems to imply that because I'm live streaming, I feel embarrassed to speak up. Help in appearance. Sha Bingbing also wants to help me. But she didn't choose to speak up during the live stream. Instead, she planned to ask me after the live stream ended, to see if I needed any help. But she suddenly thought of being interrupted by Lin Tianyu. Then Lin Tianyu took out from his chest pocket a business card and handed it to me. I took the business card and took a look. President of U Real Estate, Lin Tianyu. Seeing this, Lin Tianyu smiled humbly. It's nothing. It's just a small company. But the company has been busy applying for an IPO recently. At that time, the market value might multiply several times. I could naturally tell he was trying to show off. But I didn't care at all. I just lightly hummed in response. Lin Tianyu couldn't help but frown at my attitude. He felt extremely displeased inside. But at that moment, he couldn't show it. During the dinner that followed, most of the time, it was Lin Tianyu communicating with Sha Bingbing. But when he saw me eating quietly, he didn't say much and stood up. Just settled the bill. Saying something about the restroom. I, who was originally very quiet, suddenly laughed. 1. Immediately felt a bit flustered. She didn't expect me to guess her thoughts so quickly. Just classmates. Please don't make it difficult for me. The rule of our live stream is that the expenses incurred during the stream are covered by my company. I can claim it back when I return. I thought about it for a moment and decided not to refuse. A trace of disdain flashed in Lin Tianyu's eyes. In his opinion, my quick agreement was because I couldn't afford this meal. The audience in the live stream also began to mock. I only brought enough for 3 dishes and a soup. Suddenly, Lin showed up and ordered a few more dishes. There's not enough money. Wasn't it said there were billions in compensation? How can you not afford even one meal and still need the girl to pay the bill? Compared to my quick agreement, Lin Tianyu, however, strongly opposed Sha Bingbing paying the bill. He even mentioned that it was something for the men to do. It should have been done by the gentleman. This earned him the unanimous favor of many female viewers. However, male viewers looked down upon Lin Tianyu's actions. They felt he was just a wolf in human skin. His intentions are not pure. Thus, a confrontation between male and female viewers emerged in the livestream. I think let's do this. TAAH. This way, no one will have to wait. I suggested with a smile. At this moment, Sha Bingbing was quite. At this moment, Sha Linlin really disliked Tianyu. You joining is one thing. But you're stealing the spotlight. Just then, I suddenly called out to Sha Bingbing. I took out a coupon from my wallet. And handed it to her. But when Sha Bingbing took the coupon, she couldn't help but be stunned. Discount price. At that moment, the viewers in the livestream were shocked. Wow. Now that's good conscience. Even at a discounted price, it shouldn't be this low. Speaking of which, this store issues coupons at 10% off. Is that not allowed? I think it might be related to his identity. Don't forget, he is a delivery driver, after all. He even knows the staff of this restaurant. So having an internal discount isn't strange at all. Suddenly realize. Upon seeing a comment, Sha Bingbing suddenly realized. After settling the bill, I suddenly had something to attend to and left. Is surprised. Is astonished. In the afternoon. To work long hours. Working long hours. Before she could even take a break, she was surrounded by colleagues celebrating. Because the livestream set a record of 1 million viewers online. And all of this is thanks to me. She looked at Zhou Shuya and said. Because Zhang Fan suddenly left. She couldn't manage to ask me about joining the studio. Zhou Shuya then suggested she make a phone call to ask. What's surprising is. But what's notable is. Can't stand it. Because of the current infrastructure fanatic nature of Longguo, there is simply no place with signal. Places with signal are scarce. Now they can only. After an intense wait from the viewers, it was finally decided to meet with a short and chubby female classmate. They quickly found her. The two agreed on a meeting place. Waiting to meet the high school classmates. Sha Bingbing was waiting for her classmates. Chatting with the fans in the livestream. Open black lens bracket, but at that moment, a gentle voice came through. Sha Bingbing's camera turned towards the direction of the voice. Suddenly, the viewers saw someone. The comments section was instantly flooded with messages. Because the screen showed a stunning beauty. Lu Nan brushed her large waves of hair with her hand, instantly giving a mesmerizing and alluring visual impact. Sha Bingbing really could recognize her. She truly stood out. You know, no matter what changes high school classmates go through, they will always retain some remnants of their student days. And the appearance of this female classmate was completely transformed. Lu Nan's appearance heightened the effect of the livestream. But Sha he felt that the other person's face had a very fake feeling. Especially the smile, which looked a bit stiff. Dining. Sha Bingbing and Lu Nan's casual chat informed the viewers that he is still single, and usually records beautiful moments of life through short videos. His account, which originally had over 10,000 followers, exploded to over 200,000 followers after the livestream, surged to over 200,000 followers in a short time. Sha Bingbing followed the viewers' requests to dig deeper into Lu Nan's current life, satisfying the curiosity of many viewers. But what people didn't expect was, after this livestream, Sha Bingbing's traffic from meeting high school classmates experienced a significant decline. Zhou Shuya frowned slightly in thought, and as she expected, Sha Bingbing's high school classmate Lu Nan also started a livestream. But she was meeting a junior high school classmate, and the livestream room said he was a millionaire influencer. Sha Bingbing's high school classmate Lu Nan. This clearly indicates they want to ride the wave. No wonder their livestream's popularity has been declining recently. What's even more frustrating is, Lu Nan gained 2 million followers just by riding the wave. Zhou Shuya would eventually anticipate this day. But I didn't expect it. It was actually classmate Sha Bingbing stabbing me in the back. However, after knowing, I didn't really have any thoughts. After all, I was just the first one to take the plunge. Those who follow trends will eventually show up. But surprisingly, Lin Tianyu, Lu Nan, and Zhang Fan were more than just high school classmates. They were still middle school classmates. And at this moment, Lu Nan was meeting with Lin Tianyu, who had assets of over 100 million. He blinked and suddenly mentioned me. He said that my family received hundreds of millions in compensation for demolition. It made him very envious. But Lin Tianyu looked disdainful. It was directly exposed in the livestream. He saw me in the disheveled state of delivering takeout at that time. The two started talking about this. The viewers in the livestream suggested Lu Nan as well to invite me in the next episode. When my name was mentioned, Lu Nan's livestream popularity skyrocketed. Actually, before the livestream, Lin Tianyu had already met Lu Nan beforehand. This time, mentioning me was also something they did on purpose. The goal was to expose the fact that I was pretending to be rich. Lu Nan took advantage of the heat to call my phone number, but heard the sound of the phone being out of service. On the other side, Zhou Shuya saw that Lu Nan couldn't get through. She also breathed a sigh of relief. She was really afraid that Lu Nan would actually invite me out. Long knew. Right now, I have extremely high popularity on short videos, especially my memes. At this moment, but I am a giant standing on the shoulders of, sister, you are too beautiful. Also referred to by many netizens as the eternal pretender. But in the next moment, Zhou Shuya thought of the key point. She began to urge Sha Bingbing. Because last time, Zhang Fan had to leave in the middle of the livestream due to an urgent matter. So he asked Sha Bingbing to invite me again. But Sha Bingbing didn't want to see me get mocked by netizens. But Zhou Shuya tempted her by saying it would be beneficial for me too. As long as I was willing to take advantage of the hype. Just casually taking an advertisement could earn several 100,000. This is much better than delivering food. A moment. Long. Passed. Finally nodded in agreement. But at that moment, Lu Nan dialed the number several times. And surprisingly, it connected. And I was delivering. When I heard a very annoying voice. Tired, I interrupted him. Not buying? Not buying a house, not buying insurance. Not taking loans, not investing. Thanks. And then I directly hung up the phone. Don't say Lu Nan is confused. The audience in the live stream was also dumbfounded. But some netizens reacted quickly. Zhang Fan wouldn't think the host was a spam call, would he? At that moment, Lu Nan also came to his senses. He dialed my number again. Lu Nan was afraid I would hang up again. So I quickly explained that it was my middle school classmate. She recently did a live stream to meet up with a middle school classmate. I saw it was another live stream meetup. I directly refused. Meanwhile, Lu Nan listened to the beeping from her phone. Lu Nan felt very uncomfortable inside. You know, it has always been him hanging up on others. But now she was live streaming. She could only think of a solution after ending the stream. Studio. Zhou Shuya and Xia Bingbing watched Lu Nan's live stream. They didn't expect me to refuse so straightforwardly. Naturally, it wasn't a good situation. Could it be that he couldn't stand the online abuse anymore and wanted to give up? The phone has been stuck in the service area. Thinking of this, she quickly took her hand to call me. Previously, when things happened, I am very sorry. It was me being online. I puzzled and asked, what was written online? Don't you know? I smiled and responded. I thought it was something important. Is that so? There are mostly people online who are envious and hateful toward the rich. There's really no need to care so much. Returning to society. Returning to society is very frustrating. But what she didn't expect was. Instead, he comforted her. Angry. Get. How they want to comment. I couldn't stop it. Letting matters get to me. However, about delivering food. I have indeed delivered food before. Last time, I also ran into good. But delivering food was purely. I paused for a moment and continued to explain. Just think of it as a hobby. In fact, I've done more than just deliver food. I've also worked on construction sites. Swept the streets. Worked as a security guard. Delivering food is just a hobby. Xia Bingbing and Zhou Shuya exchanged glances. Although the phone was not on speaker, the office was extremely quiet. Zhou Shuya could still hear my voice. She lowered her voice and leaned closer to Xia Bingbing's ear, asking softly, don't worry about that for now. Ask Zhang Fan if he has time in a few days to schedule another livestream meeting. Done. Previously, Lu Nan called about scheduling a livestream meeting. Zhang Fan has already rejected several times, claiming he doesn't have time. But thinking of the miniature version of the goddess, I couldn't help but ask, classmate, there's something I want to ask you to help me with. Can you do a live stream with me again? Because your last live stream was very effective. Many viewers want to see you. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. I think they just want to see me make a fool of myself. Xia Bingbing was speechless. She immediately apologized. Classmate. I, however, said without care. I've already told you. I don't care about the comments online. Then can you meet with me again? Because recently the heat of my live stream has been declining. And I also want to see you. You know that the national goddess is my idol. I just want to meet someone who looks similar to the national goddess. The more Xia Bingbing spoke, the quieter her voice became. By the end, I didn't even know what to say. Well, okay then. But it will take a few days. I thought for a moment and agreed. No problem. It's been a few days. After hanging up the phone, Xia Bingbing excitedly looked at Zhou Shuya. Zhou Shuya was both angry and amused. Why does it feel like she is meeting someone important? It feels like she is arranging to meet some big shot. However, it seems that Zhang Fan's popularity is indeed not weaker than that of some big stars. Xia Bingbing laughed foolishly. She didn't even know why. Maybe it was because last time Zhang Fan got criticized by netizens because of her. Or perhaps it was for other reasons. But online violence can come back. So, he curiously asked Zhou Shuya. Zhou Shuya pondered and said, there is that possibility. After all, Zhang Fan has worked as a delivery driver. And the reality faced by delivery drivers is harsher than what is seen online. Xia suddenly started to say, I think he might still not have a stable job now. With so many different types of jobs available. At the same time, Lu Nan, after finishing the live stream, went to the hotel with Lin Tianyu. Lin Tianbao tightly hugged Lu Nan's slim waist. However, at this moment, Lu Nan's phone displayed a trending topic about himself. He was suddenly excited. But when he looked at the content inside, he angrily shook off Lin Tianyu. It turned out that Xia Bingbing posted about me agreeing to meet online. And it quickly spread. But in Lu Nan's view, I only agreed to meet because Xia Bingbing is beautiful. That's why I agreed to meet. So he thought. My impression of him is still stuck in high school. In a flash, Lu Nan had a thought. His red lips gradually curled into a smile. The day of Xia Bingbing's meeting had arrived. As soon as the broadcast started, countless viewers joined. Heaven did not give birth to me, Zhang classmate. Pretending as if it's been an eternal night. I wonder if he will rent a luxury car to pick up the streamer this time. The chat room was constantly flooded with messages. Xia Bingbing saw some viewers still saying I was pretending to be rich. So she shared my explanation from a few days ago. But the viewers didn't believe it at all. The misunderstanding couldn't be resolved for a while. So let's change the topic quickly. Today is not an ordinary meeting. The main character today is actually Zhang Fan's child. However, the new viewers do not think much of it. They believe the child of a pretender is not worth watching. At this moment, the loyal fans' sense of superiority emerged. They immediately started to criticize and exclude. My child resembles the national goddess. After they posted the previously taken screenshots, the entire livestream room erupted. Urgent issue. This is clearly an attempt to make me have a child. When Sha Bingbing arrived at the meeting place with me, suddenly, a feigned surprised voice came through. Sha Bingbing turned around, realizing it was Lu Nan. She smiled charmingly. What a coincidence. I was just thinking of visiting the middle school. I didn't expect to run into you here. Are you live streaming? Sha Bingbing nodded, a hint of confusion in her eyes. Lu Nan casually waved at the livestream audience. Upon seeing this scene, the viewers in the livestream began to criticize. Isn't this a bit too coincidental? Although the county town is not big, it's still not easy for two people not developing in the county to meet. It wouldn't be easy for people to encounter each other, right? Could it be that Lu Nan knew the streamer was meeting with the delivery driver? She came over on purpose, right? Don't say that upstairs. The delivery driver isn't exactly a hot commodity. It's not like he'd attract a swarm of beautiful women. But for a moment, many Lu Nan fans suddenly flooded into the livestream. Hilarious. Can that Zhang fan be as popular as our Nan Nan? Our Nan Nan's popularity is already very high. Why is she trying to ride on Sha Bingbing's popularity? I think it's the other way around. The livestream was instantly filled with tension. Just then, I appeared riding an electric scooter. The livestream instantly erupted. After all, my appearance this time was indeed unexpected for everyone. Lu Nan covered her mouth and snickered. Her eyes were full of disdain. He looks plain, poor, and pitiful. I can't believe someone like him can actually get married. I wonder which woman is that blind. Sha Bingbing reacted quickly and stepped forward. She was about to greet me. Seeing this, Lu Nan asked first. Classmate Ku? Didn't I hear Bingbing say you drive a luxury car worth millions? Where's your luxury car? Chang Mei paused for a moment. Chang raised her eyebrows, not addressing Lu Jing first. Let's not talk about whether it's suitable or not. Let's not discuss whether it's suitable for the country first. Just saying, is this live stream actually tough for the host? After hearing Lu Nan's words, I looked at Sha Bingbing in confusion. Committee member Sha? Is this your friend? Just as Sha Bingbing was about to introduce, Lu Nan unexpectedly interrupted. Classmate. You've really forgotten. We were classmates from middle school to high school. A few days ago, I even called you. I was planning to meet you. You rejected me back then. I thought about it for a moment. I remembered. You're the one who called me several times a few days ago. What was your name again? Lu Nan's expression stiffened, but she still revealed a charming smile. Lu Nan. Zhang Fan nodded with a calm expression. I really can't recall. I just happen to have our old graduation photo here. Sha Bingbing took out a photo from her bag. I took the graduation photo. I looked at Lu Nan in surprise. They look so different. Then I shook my head and returned the graduation photo to Sha Bingbing. Many netizens started to criticize immediately. It's obvious they suspect Lu Nan has had work done on her face. Lu Nan also noticed the comments in the livestream. She immediately changed the topic. Classmate Ku. Speaking of which, where's your $1 million luxury car? You're not planning to pick up Bingbing on that little electric scooter, are you? After saying that, Lu Nan covered her mouth and chuckled. She just wanted to see how this poor guy would respond. But I shook my head, not caring at all. Because Sha and I were going to the kindergarten. Driving is inconvenient. The road isn't that wide. Plus, driving a car like that is too eye-catching. So it's better to ride the electric scooter. Parking is convenient, and there's no worry about traffic jams. Many viewers in the livestream burst out laughing at my explanation. As expected, he truly is the master of pretension. This explanation is flawless. It's not that he doesn't want to drive. It's that he wants to be low-key. Let's not even discuss whether the pretentious guy has a $1 million car. Just consider the fact of driving a four-wheeled vehicle to pick up kids from school. It's just too much. Every time, it blocks the road completely. Now, which family doesn't have a car? Regarding what I said, Lu Nan didn't believe it at all. In her eyes, I'm just pretending. If I had a $1 million luxury car, I'd probably drive to the school gate to show off every day. But I didn't care about Lu Nan's sarcasm. Instead, I turned my gaze towards Sha Bingbing. The time is almost up. I don't mind the electric scooter, right? There was a surprise. But she. Meanwhile, Lu Nan was feeling quite unpleasant inside. But she still forced a smile on her face. Can I go along too? I'm also curious about what Yang's children look like. This is quite embarrassing. I only have 2 profile pictures. Furthermore, the electric scooter rules only allow 1 adult in the back seat. Then I called Sha Bingbing to get in the car. As for Lu Nan, if he wants to come, he can figure it out himself. Lu Nan watched the departing electric scooter and stopped pretending. His eyes were full of disdain. All the way, I focused on riding the electric scooter, holding my phone while sitting in the back. Classmate, look, you know now. She couldn't give birth. She shouted loudly from the back seat. That won't happen. She's very busy. For a while now. I looked ahead and replied. No way. We stopped right in front of a kindergarten gate. At that moment, a burly man smiled and greeted me. Xiaoming's dad. You're here too. Could this be Xiaoming's mom? You misunderstood. This person is my high school classmate. We happened to come here together today. Can sing. A number of parents greeted me warmly, laughing. Classmate Ku. I just heard those parents call you, little daddy. Your son is 4. Your son's name is not, right? Upon hearing this, I smiled and nodded. Yes, it is. Tired of eating. Don't you think the name is too simple? Can sing. A name with fewer strokes is easier to write. A name with complicated strokes is difficult. Easy kindergarten. Femile. Ambiguous, possibly incorrect. Elementary school still has its advantages. let out a light laugh. Good marriage. In her view, the name should also be quite simple. Red. Taken from Chuchi, crossing the river. Boarding the boat now. I answered without hesitation. His eyes lit up. I didn't expect to give my daughter such a beautiful name. Who just said that names should be easy to write? Simple. I've thought about this name for a long time. Regarding the name for my daughter, I'm quite satisfied. Sha Bingbing looked at me with a strange expression. Meanwhile, all the viewers in the live stream burst into laughter. Just then, a voice caught everyone's attention. Lu Nan didn't expect it to be so congested coming to the kindergarten. But after a lot of effort, they finally arrived at the kindergarten. However, they were stopped by 2 security guards. So they immediately shouted my name loudly. I went over and explained softly to the security guards. Only then did the security guards allow Lu Nan to enter. I was surrounded and asked by several parents. Mainly because Lu Nan was dressed too refreshingly. Lu Nan looked down on me from the bottom of her heart. Especially after hearing that I pick up and drop off a child from kindergarten. She looked down on him even more. She suspected that my wife probably ran off with someone. Thinking of this, she immediately ran to ask the kindergarten. The security guard seemed to have seen her before. After learning that I had been the one picking up the child all along, the viewers also began to speculate. He seemed to be the one picking up the child. He hadn't been picking up the child for a while. This suggests that my wife is not around. Either something unexpected happened, or she is no longer in this world, or they are divorced. Meanwhile, in a certain filming crew, Yi Kashin finally wrapped up today's shoot. She was in the nanny car heading back to the hotel to rest. Suddenly, her phone notified her that Bingbing was live streaming. Reminded of what her husband had mentioned to her a few days ago, she opened her phone to watch the live stream. The live stream happened to show Lu Nan's speculation, as well as the comments in the comment section. Yi Kashin furrowed her brows. Even though her husband had always supported her career, she knew deep down that she owed too much to her family, especially the husband and children. Seems like it's time to return to the family. And over here at the kindergarten, Lu Nan noticed my wife hadn't shown up. He actually asked directly what my wife does. Busy to the point of not even watching the child's performance. Not even taking a glance. I glanced at Lu Nan and said she's considered an actress. Regarding my words, Lu Nan naturally didn't believe it. My wife is in the acting industry. Many netizens directly laughed and mocked. Lu Nan covered her mouth, with a look of surprise. But a hint of disdain flashed in her eyes. Indeed, this man really knows how to show off. Previously rented a luxury car to pretend to be rich. Now directly says his wife is an actress and a star. Why not say your wife is a commoner? Didn't expect Yang's wife is actually an actress. Then what movie or TV show did she star in? Lu Nan asked again. Sha Bingbing actually wanted to stop Lu Nan a bit, but I didn't expect Lu Nan to ask so quickly. She's just a minor actress. I shook my head. No way, right? Lu Nan sneered inwardly. He doesn't even dare to say her name. Even if Zhang Fan's wife is really an actress, she's just a supporting role with few lines. What else could it be? If I said my wife is Yi Kashin, would you believe it? I replied with a smile. What kind of joke is that? Lu Nan suddenly laughed. Because this was the funniest joke she had ever heard. If the national goddess Yi Kashin fell for this useless guy, she would run around the globe naked. A segment. She knew my habit of pretending had flared up again. A crowd of viewers was also amused by my words. Haha. I know he can pretend. I didn't expect him to pretend so convincingly. Although his child looks somewhat like Yi Kashin. But he can't possibly think his wife is a national goddess, right? Meanwhile, the kindergarten program finally began. After a while, when the other classes' performances ended, finally, it was my 2 kids' turn to go on stage. I think the parents are certainly looking forward to the upcoming performance. Now let's invite the kids from our class to perform. We present a martial arts program, Kung Fu Boy. As the host teacher's passionate voice echoed, a small comfort. These wear yellow clothes. Not sure when it was dyed. The movements were coordinated and well executed. Not knowing when it turned into a one-on-one situation. A group of parents clasped their fists. Get up. They were hitting back. Especially the various dodges. Many parents were watching in amazement. The viewers in the live stream were dumbfounded. I bet it must be the kindergarten teacher. Which great master taught this? This scene quickly caught Sha Bingbing's attention. The live stream's popularity reached its peak. Sha Bingbing looked back. Behind her, there was a row of parents, who were intently watching the stage. If we're talking about it, Zhao Ming's dad is impressive. Zhao Ming's dad. He is wealthy. These kids all learned martial arts from Zhao Ming's dad. Suddenly, a voice faintly reached Sha Bingbing's ears. In order to confirm her suspicions, she leaned over and quietly asked me, classmate, I heard people around say that this program is just a bit of martial arts. Not really impressive. I shook my head and replied with a smile. It really is you. It's the internet vibe. The viewers in the live stream were also surprised. Soon, the martial arts performance ended. The children's martial arts performance was fantastic. It was so exciting that it got my blood pumping. Now, let's continue with our class. The performance brought by our class's kids. A safety education fairy tale play titled Little Bunny, Be Good. Under the introduction of the host teacher, applause of varying intensity erupted around them. Sha Bingbing looked towards the stage. Her eyes couldn't help but brighten. At this moment, there were 3 children dressed as cute little rabbits, while singing the song with a sweet and tender voice, while happily jumping up and down on stage. And the child leading the group was my daughter. That little face was just like the national goddess Yi Kashin's. A tall, strong man climbed over the wall. It was simply. Sha Bingbing listened to the singing on stage. She thought it sounded quite nice. But what puzzled her was, She had actually heard it before. Just then, in front of the kindergarten gate, it made Sha Bingbing's heart nearly break. The man had a messy beard and disheveled clothes. He charged directly towards the stage. The security guard caught sight of a kitchen knife in the man's hand. His expression changed. He shouted loudly. He rushed straight over. Because the music was still playing on stage, the parents didn't hear what the security guard said at all, let alone respond. Meanwhile, I was standing nearby. Suddenly stood up. At this moment, the parents nearby finally reacted. Instantly, the scene turned chaotic. But Lu Nan's eyes lit up, pointing the phone at the tall and strong man for the live stream. The netizens finally knew what happened in the suddenly chaotic kindergarten, instantly causing Lu Nan's account to explode in popularity. Sha Bingbing just glanced at Lu Nan lightly, then turned to me with eyes full of concern. But the difference in physique between me and that knife-wielding thug was too great. In a short time, I couldn't stop the knife-wielding thug at all. The timid people had already covered their eyes with their hands, unable to bear the bloody and cruel scene. But at that moment, I quickly threw back into my bag. A flash of light flickered and vanished. I saw the knife-wielding assailant who was originally rushing toward the children. It seemed as if he had tripped over something. He fell flat on his face. At that moment, the knife-wielding assailant, who had fallen to the ground, struggled to stand up. He stared at me with a menacing expression. Just as he was about to strike me, I slightly leaned to the side to dodge the assailant's knife. Then, I suddenly raised my foot. I didn't give the assailant any chance to react at all. A sweeping kick sent the man flying several meters away. Everyone stared in shock at this scene. The security guard and several parents who were originally rushing over also paused in their tracks. No one expected that I could take down the assailant so quickly. One of them rushed to me first to ask. He still couldn't quite believe it. My so-called little cat martial arts were actually that impressive. But suddenly, Sha Linlin noticed a comment. Suddenly, a viewer in the livestream sent a dynamic image. The characters in this dynamic image are. I rushed toward the knife-wielding thug with all my strength. At the same time, my right hand suddenly reached into my pocket. Then, I abruptly flicked it out. Then, that thug with the knife suddenly fell down. The dynamic image was not smooth. It looked like it was just a series of images switching back and forth. There was something in the eyes. Could it be that the thug just now was not tripped by anything? But when the frame froze on me using 2 fingers to pull out a coin from my pocket, the entire livestream room was shocked. One ZTB exclaimed in surprise. How did this happen? In other words, the knife-wielding thug just now was hit and fell down by the coin I threw. Regarding what Zhang said earlier about only knowing a bit of footwork, I remain skeptical now. Could Zhang be some hidden martial arts master in the streets? Sha Bingbing was instantly shocked. She was very curious about what I was like. She asked continuously, "Classmate, do you know how to use hidden weapons like in the TV dramas?" I waved my hand dismissively. There are no hidden weapons. I just throw things really well. Suddenly, a soft, sticky voice came. At a glance, my eyes widened in surprise. A little girl ran over from the side. I saw a little girl about 3 years old running over. The little girl was sweet and cute in appearance. She looked like a little fairy that jumped out of a cartoon. She was indeed my daughter. Sha Bingbing swallowed hard. She revealed a smile that she thought was gentle, but it gave off a sort of creepy aunt vibe. Daddy, who is this beautiful big sister? Yuan blinked her bright eyes. She looked at Sha Bingbing and said. She looked at Sha Bingbing. I smiled and explained. She's Daddy's classmate. She should be an auntie. But Yuan pouted her little lips. It seems that someone is a bit unconvinced. Blabbering nonsense. Clearly a beautiful and good-looking big sister. This is clearly a little angel, okay? Due to the kindergarten suddenly having added responsibilities, the program cannot continue. Under the meaningful gaze of the kindergarten teachers, many parents left one after another, until it was known that today's meeting livestream had ended. But unexpectedly, Lu Nan said with a beaming smile, "It was hard to come here once. How about we go to Yang's house for a visit?" Sha Bingbing immediately understood Lu Nan's intention. They could immediately expose my facade of being rich. For a while, netizens were debating, sitting and waiting for the host to reveal my true self. But some netizens disagreed with going. They said they wanted to preserve my last bit of dignity. Chong disagreed with Lu Nan's suggestion. Moreover, he made peace with himself, just to watch the children's performance. Moreover, the dignity he gave me. However, Lu Nan looked at me with a cheerful smile. He guessed that I would probably refuse. But he heard me say, when I said that the electric scooter couldn't take that many people, he nearly doubled over with laughter. He forced himself to hold back his laughter. He said he could take a taxi. Then I told him my home address. He then took the child and hopped on the scooter. View. He also ordered a car online. The driver looked at the address and smilingly asked, "Are you going to Kaoshan village?" Sha Bingbing, sitting in the passenger seat, looked puzzled, because the address I gave him was a security booth at an intersection. Lu Nan, sitting in the backseat, slightly frowned. This Kaoshan village. He seemed to have heard about it somewhere. The driver said, that Kaoshan village. Long term. Long tube. The name of this village used to be called Kaoshan. Now? The middle-aged driver chuckled. What do you mean? I don't quite understand. Long before rich. What's going on? Misty Pine Scenic Area. He asked with a smile. The middle-aged driver asked with a laugh. Fog Frost Scenic Area. At this moment, Lu Nan had a shocked expression. No wonder he thought the name Kushan Village sounded so familiar before. The reason he had heard of Kushan Village was because of the development of the Fog Frost Scenic Area. The main thing was that real estate. Not only did it provide villagers of Kushan Village with a villa for each one built, but also offered high compensation payments. The highest compensation amounted to billions. Lu Nan suddenly remembered what I had said earlier. It couldn't be such a coincidence. She always thought Zhang Fan was talking nonsense. Lu Nan. Xia Bingbing turned back in confusion to look at Lu Nan. The middle-aged driver briefly explained to Xia Bingbing. Only then did Xia Bingbing understand Lu Nan's surprised expression just now. And the netizens, after hearing the driver's words, immediately expressed their shock. For a moment, they began to discuss fervently. When they arrived at the location, Xia Bingbing and Lu Nan saw not far away, riding an electric scooter. In the distance, rows of villas suddenly come into view. This is hardly a village. It's basically a villa area. Just recently, the netizens who mocked me for pretending to be rich because I had no money, now they are collectively being proven wrong. Instead, Xia Bingbing is smiling brightly at Lu Nan. Lu Nan snorted coldly in her heart. She still doesn't believe it. In her view, I must have made preparations in advance. I probably rented a villa in Kaoshan Village ahead of time. You have to understand. All the villagers in Kaoshan Village received huge compensation payments. Naturally, they all headed to the big cities. Why would they still live in this small place with poor education? It's a small place with poor medical facilities. So there must be quite a few vacant villas. And these vacant villas are rented out to others for parties and gatherings. However, after entering the village, an old man with his hands behind his back walked over slowly. He greeted me with a smile. Up. Stand up. Politely greeted the old man. The old man smiled widely. He pulled a few candies out of his pocket. Next, I ran into a few acquaintances and greeted them. They also smiled and nodded. The livestream chat suddenly exploded. Little Haitzi got slapped in the face. This nickname is quite familiar. I led them along the way. Arrived at the gate. Xia Bingbing and Lu Nan were momentarily stunned. Suddenly, the gate opened. As soon as they entered the yard, they saw a luxury car parked inside. Looks like Xia Bingbing recognized it. This luxury car was the one I drove during our first meeting. The one I drove. At this moment, the livestream chat exploded. Dig it out. Turns out we are the real clowns. If anyone says Zhang classmate is a delivery driver, they'd better watch out or I'll kick them twice. Can a delivery driver really afford such a car? Is it possible? Classmate delivering food. Classmate's delivery. Just to pass the boring life. After entering the yard, suddenly, a soft and pleasant voice rang out. But just then, suddenly a strange sound appeared, which sounded like a pig squealing. Following that was a large, black-spotted pig, charging straight towards them. At this moment, Xia Bingbing and Lu Nan were stunned. But by the time they reacted, the black pig has already rushed in front of me. Suddenly, Yuan Yuan's soft and sweet voice sounded, creating a scene that left everyone dumbfounded. They saw the black pig rush in front of Yuan Yuan, and then stop. It was as if it was welcoming Yuan Yuan home. I smiled and explained that this was her pet. Then, Yuan Yuan climbed onto the back of the black pig. Chong Lin was stunned. He couldn't help but look at me beside him, wanting to see my reaction as a father. But I was already used to it. After all, Yuan Yuan often ran around the village riding pigs. At that moment, a beautiful and graceful woman walked out of the house. She was a bit surprised to see Xia Bingbing and Lu Nan. After learning that they were my high school classmates, she warmly invited the two of them inside. Inside was not as lavish as netizens had imagined. However, the unique and eclectic style gave a strange sense of comfort. Just then, my phone rang. I apologized, and let my mom accompany them for a bit. But Lu Nan suddenly approached my mom, sweetly complimenting her on how well she took care of herself. She looked very young. Little did I know Lu Nan was trying to extract information. My mom, following the conversation, told how she used to live here. About how when I was a child, I worked on the farm, carrying pig baskets and cutting pig grass, and shared stories of feeding pigs and pasturing cattle. Then Lu Nan pretended to be surprised, saying that every household here received a substantial compensation. My mom smiled and said I was lucky. But a hint of jealousy flashed in Lu Nan's eyes. This is more than just good luck. It's like an enormous fortune has fallen on my head. We were originally a group of bumpkins hiding in the mountains. Yet we unexpectedly gained wealth that others have worked for generations. Wealth that only hard work can attain. Moreover, she couldn't understand why. What the developers found attractive about Wusong Mountain. At that moment, viewers in the livestream dug up old news. I just checked. The developer of the Wusong Scenic Area turned out to be a registered company with a capital of only 8,000. And it only developed the Wusong Scenic Area. This made the viewers think twice. It feels like it was established just to develop the Wusong Scenic Area. The company that was established. Xia Bingbing looked at the comments in the livestream, feeling a mix of amusement and disbelief. But what she didn't expect was that what I said during our first meeting was actually true. Before we met. Just thinking about it makes me feel like At this moment, Lu Nan no longer had that condescending look from before. Maybe he has some bad intentions. Regarding the question, I'm not only married, but I also have children. It was just when they talked about my wife. Lu Nan suddenly found a topic, and curiously asked. My mom sighed and said he comes back every now and then. This matter isn't a big deal in foreign countries. But in Longguo, a daughter-in-law who doesn't care for her family is something any mother-in-law cannot accept. In the next moment, my mom, however, expressed her support for my wife's job. This immediately drew envy from everyone in the livestream. This must be a real mother. It's so rare to have a mother-in-law who treats her daughter-in-law like her own daughter. Sha Bingbing also remembered what I had said before when she saw the comments section. My wife is an unremarkable actress. She goes home to the small town every now and then. Because in his memory, only top stars travel with the crew to shoot everywhere. Lu Nan seemed to be defending my mom. She started to criticize my wife. But my mom was taken aback for a moment and then laughed silently. Probably because her daughter-in-law was considered a minor actress. Lu Nan saw my mom's reaction. She had some doubts in her mind. Could it be that she is not just a role player? Lu Nan thought she could make something out of this. She simply asked for my wife's name and works. But my mom suddenly became hesitant. Fortunately, Sha Bingbing quickly intervened. But Lu was not willing to give up the topic for views. She wouldn't easily let it go. Netizens saw my mom seem to have something unspeakable. They began to speculate. His wife might be a 4th or 5th tier star in the entertainment industry. After all, I was just a small person who got rich through demolition. At this moment, the comments in the livestream started to turn in one direction. I just couldn't understand. How could a 4th or 5th tier star be in a dining situation? I, as someone in the industry, know best how chaotic the entertainment circle is. There was nothing clean inside. Netizens cannot understand why I married a minor celebrity. But suddenly there was a comment. It quickly attracted everyone's attention. Showed the appearance of a classmate's daughter. Doesn't she look like the national goddess Yi Xinshin? Combining all the current information. Do you think there's a possibility? Yang's classmate's wife is Yi Kexin. Countless netizens burst out laughing at this. They certainly do not think the national goddess would marry a nouveau riche like me. Meanwhile, Yi Kexin, just back at the hotel, saw the comments in the livestream. Her fair and beautiful face instantly turned pale. Her lovely face suddenly lacked vitality. Because of the comment that Yang's classmate's wife is Yi Kexin. It was indeed posted by her. She didn't expect the netizens to start mocking her. It made her want to announce it directly. One can imagine the pressure from bad news and rumors. It would bring unnecessary trouble to her husband. She could only sulk quietly. However, Yi Kexin's eyes are full of happiness. It's the most correct choice she has made in her life. Undoubtedly, she married him. The netizens in the livestream are still guessing. Which star is my wife? Even the recently popular one. They even dragged the flower Dan, Li Yu-ru, into it. When Sha Bingbing noticed the netizens' speculation, her brow furrows slightly. If you say she is Yi Kexin's #1 fan, Li Yu-ru's #1 hater is undoubtedly her. The reason is that when Li Yu-ru debuted, regardless of the occasion, she presents herself as little Yi Kexin. What people didn't expect is that, last year, after Li Yu-ru became famous, she is not happy when others call her little Yi Xin. That Sha Bingbing doesn't see it as a big deal. But what really makes her angry is that she even dares to say her acting skills are better than those of the goddess. That she still belittles the goddess on many occasions. What angers Sha Bingbing even more is, Li Yanju's private life is quite chaotic. Not only was she caught by paparazzi late at night, chatting about scripts with a certain director at midnight, playing mahjong with a few young heartthrobs, and going to hotels with a certain rich second-generation heir, etc. However, every time she gets photographed, Li Yanju refuses to admit it. She also openly and secretly claims that the person in the photos is not her. She is the national sweetheart, Kexin. This is unbearable for Sha Bingbing. This sentence seems incomplete or incorrect in context. It might be intended as unbearable. Not long after, an announcement appeared on Li Yanju's official account. It actually stated that she is unmarried. Not familiar with the person, she would take legal action against the slanderers to protect her rights. Regarding the new flower of the entertainment industry, Li Yanju's words, many netizens still do not believe her. Li Yanju has a very poor reputation online. Lu Nan also noticed the netizens' speculation. If it were true that Li Yanju is my wife, my head would definitely be full of green, indicating infidelity. And not long after, Li Yuru will propose divorce to me. You must know, with Li Yuru's current wealth and fame, it's not something I can match. Just then, I walked in after finishing the call. I smiled at Lu Nan. Classmate Lu, do you really want to know what role my wife is playing? Lu Nan forced out what she thought was an innocent smile, and said in a somewhat pitiful voice, just curious. The atmosphere was calm, but I could still sense some intention. However, although she hasn't known me for long, she knows I'm a friendly person. But even the friendliest person has a temper. Lu Nan was also a bit confused. I greeted the two after finishing the call. There's something I need to take care of at the tourist spot. But my mom got anxious when she heard I needed to hurry into the tourist spot. She became a bit worried immediately. I shook my head and comforted her, saying, it's not a big deal. Then, Sha Bingbing and the others can sit in my house first. Hello, Chang Linren. Hello, Sha. But clearly, some things are not for her to ask as an outsider. However, Lu Nan next to her was not willing at all. She has been live streaming for so long. This is the first time she has such high views. She wouldn't easily give that up. She knew I said I had something to do and still wanted to follow. I don't know if she has low emotional intelligence, or if she wants the views so badly that she doesn't care about her image. Lu Nan saw my strange expression. She unexpectedly threw Sha Bingbing out as a cover. After all, in her eyes, Sha Bingbing is the same as her. She would go to the Frost scenery spot for my popularity. But what Lu Nan never expected was, Sha Bingbing refused without hesitation. Lu Nan's smile froze. He didn't expect Sha Bingbing to slap her face right there. He couldn't help but blame Sha Bingbing in his heart. Then I also didn't continue to pay attention to Lu Nan's opinions. I turned around and rode off on my electric scooter. Wait for me to leave the scene. Long-term affection frequency. Long Lin's quality. She wished she could hold Yuan in her arms. She smiled. At least the box can provide a topic to chat about. However, Yuan Yuan was reading a book about exploring human nature, not to mention Xia Bingbing. Even the netizens wouldn't believe a 3-year-old child can understand an adult's book. But Xia Bingbing didn't point it out. After all, children also have their own perspectives. But Lu Chunan didn't care as much. He forced a gentle smile to coax my daughter. As long as she reads this book, she would reward my daughter. Originally, in his view, the rewards a child could think of were just toys or snacks. Spending a little money could solve it. However, my daughter Yuan Yuan wanted was a pair of glasses that could see through dimensions. This suddenly confused her, until he saw the netizens' comments saying, "This headset is this year's hottest VR headset." She just realized it. As long as you wear this headset, you can experience different scenes. It gives a feeling of traveling through time and space. These things can be both cheap and expensive. At that time, just buy a cheap one to get by. That would still be fine. However, the class beauty Xia Bingbing interrupted him at this moment. She kindly reminded this classmate named Lu Nan to check the price first. Free prices. Unexpectedly, it stunned him completely. This immersive long-tongue glasses. Even if it's secondhand, it's still tens of thousands of high-tech. But I never expected. My mom said not to let Lu Nan spend money, because I had asked my mom to put one in my room before Yuan Yuan finished school. I asked my mom to place one in my daughter's room. After Yuan Yuan found out, she sat on the back of the black pig beside her, and rushed towards the room. This scene instantly left the netizens dumbfounded. This emotional pig has its uses. But when holding a beautiful box while returning, sharp-eyed netizens noticed the engraving on the box that said, Max. The words seemed to explode throughout the entire livestream. Many users commented on the official account of Longtong Group. When will the Max version be released? The customer service girl was equally puzzled. Power of the news. They patiently explained that it wasn't even on the market. But the questioning netizens simply didn't believe it. They even said the evidence was shown in the livestream. Soon there was news about the Longtong Max version. Longtong glasses quickly surged to trending. It even alerted the higher UPS at Longtong Group. At this moment, a flustered female secretary handed a tablet to the middle-aged man. She explained what was happening in Xia Bingbing's livestream. A flash of surprise suddenly crossed the middle-aged man's eyes. Ever since the announcement of the Max version glasses early this year, there have also been counterfeit VR glasses on the market that mimic the appearance. But this time, what has appeared is indeed the real product. When he saw the official account of Longtong Group, it had already emitted a sound. His expression changed instantly, jumping to conclusions without clarifying the situation. This is a major taboo in business. As a senior executive of Longtong Group, naturally understands certain matters. Although this version of the glasses has not been released on the market, they have already been in production for a while. Just for certain reasons, they simply stopped selling them to the public. He then instructed his secretary to quickly have someone issue a clarification announcement. After seeing the announcement from Longtong Group, the netizens came. The netizens immediately shared it. Lu Nan, upon seeing this, had a somewhat gloating expression. Holding up his phone, he smiled and said to Yuan Yuan, what he was holding was fake. But the next moment, it took a serious turn. The manufacturer naturally knows the product's authenticity, but not everyone knows the authenticity. This is extremely inappropriate for the age. This immediately surprised Xia Bingbing. Is this really a child over 3 years old? The livestream chat was flooded with. The new announcement from Longtong Group's official account went viral in the comments. Xia Bingbing checked it out quickly. In the next second, she was instantly stunned. This means that the account manager privately posted incorrect statements. He has now been dismissed. After some actions taken by Longtong Group, it inevitably raised suspicions. Lu Chunan was taken aback for a moment. The previous announcement has been deleted. A grim expression suddenly appeared on his face. At the same time, due to a post from Longtong Group's official account, it was self-contradictory. It attracted many tech enthusiasts to enter the livestream. This group of tech enthusiasts believe that Longtong glasses are full of black technology. One can tell if it's fake with just one thing. But there's a limit. But can it be done? If the prototype is good. If it's fake. He is very afraid that it would affect his reputation. Seeing the high viewership, Lu Nan. Naturally, she wouldn't give up such good traffic. Immediately lured. Yuan Yuan. You say this Longtong 5th generation glasses are real. Then let Auntie try it out. I won't give it to you. I will only let the big sister try. Jian picked up the round FE. Proudly urged Xia Bingbing to hurry up and try it. She wants to impress everyone. Xia Bingbing looked at Jian with an innocent expression. Chang looked at her innocent expression. Her heart almost melted. As the saying goes, it's better to enjoy together than alone. Xia Bingbing immediately pointed the live camera at Yuan Yuan. That serious expression melted a bunch of men. When Xia Bingbing put on the glasses, entered with a face full of darkness. In the next moment, Bing was shocked. The originally spacious living room and the people around disappeared at the same time. At this moment, he was in a dazzling virtual world. A fluffy young panda rolled in front of him. He thought of Xia Bingbing and couldn't help but reach out. A soft and fluffy touch instantly shocked him. It felt just like petting a cat. Xia Bingbing exclaimed. The translation for this line is unclear. Please provide context or correct wording. And the real-life viewers saw Xia Bingbing talking to herself and randomly touching the air. Then they began to discuss the authenticity of the glasses. When Xia Bingbing took off her glasses, his expression was very certain. He was sure that the Longtong Max glasses in his hand were real. The viewers recalled the experience described by Xia Bingbing. They immediately thought of what was said at the Longtong launch event. The AI assistant is a panda. But Lu Nan still didn't believe it. In his view, Xia Bingbing was just pretending. After a while, he pretended to be surprised. Suggest he give it a try. Many Wang Yu also agreed. After all, we can't just listen to Sha Bingbing's side of the story. Afterwards, under everyone's gaze, Lu Nan put on the long-tongue glasses Max. In the blink of an eye, netizens noticed that his movements were exactly like Sha Bingbing's. But at that moment, Sha Bingbing felt a bit regretful. But Sha Linlin felt a bit regretful as well. Revealed the true situation. Because the long-tongue glasses Max haven't been released yet. So she suspected it was obtained by underhanded means. Undoubtedly will give the company. At this moment, she actually hoped Lu Nan would conceal the truth. However, when Lu Nan took off the glasses, he certainly didn't disappoint Sha Bingbing. He feigned a surprised look. He dishonestly said it had a bit of touch. But compared to reality, there's a big difference. But who would have thought? When Lu Nan glanced at the popularity of his livestream, he admitted that this is the latest model of the long-tongue glasses. For a moment, it set off a frenzy among the netizens against the long-tongue official account. However, the long-tongue group still did not respond at all. The customer service could only say they were unclear and did not know. This instantly made everyone extremely curious. Where did I get it from? Malicious people even hinted that I had bribed someone. He only had a small one. There was only one. Because she thought she was standing up for her father. But one time, she didn't even know. It was purchased legally. That must be a problem. However, Lu Nan, for the sake of the livestream's popularity, unexpectedly started to subtly ask my mom questions with a look of anticipation. When everyone heard that I didn't buy it, but that it was a gift from a friend, it was even more unbelievable. So saying this was merely an excuse to cover up the truth. You have to know that the long-tongue Max was sold out the moment it was launched. It was worth the price of a house at first. It became so popular among scalpers. It could easily double in price. Sha Bingbing intended to stop Lu Nan from asking further. But my mom had already mentioned. My friend sent more than one piece. Just as they concluded that I was colluding with internal employees, Lu Nan pressed on with his questioning. He believed that if he could dig up my friend's name, he would surely be able to cozy up to Longtongue. But it wasn't long before. Netizens proved that many hands make light work. They managed to find out the true identity of my friend using just a name. They didn't know until they checked. And they were shocked when they did. My friend was actually the Kai of Longtongue group. The realization hit them. If that were the case, then the Kai of Longtongue gave unlisted products to friends. It seemed not problematic. And the once smug Lu Nan was left dumbfounded. The Kai of Longtongue was worth billions. He made his fortune through demolition. It's impossible for him to be related. Only to see her suddenly enlightened. Immediately searched for the photo of the boxcutting champion on my phone, to show my mom. Then I received a positive response. However, Lu Nan's repeated veiled doubts. My mom also lost her composure. Took out the boxcutting champion from a few years ago. Pointed to the blonde guy on the right and said this is the president of Longtongue. Lu Nan could no longer refute. Because the blonde guy in the photo really resembles the current president of Longtongue. At the same time, the netizens also sighed about the low-key and reserved president. The energetic young man is actually a boxcutter champion. Moreover, judging from the photo, Zhang Fan had known him before the president became successful. They all believed I was lucky to have latched onto a big shot. Just like you in front of the screen. When Ma Baba was a teacher, you would call him brother. Zhang Zubin, as the founder of Longtongue, without a doubt, is a figure full of legendary color. Started from scratch. From a grassroots level to a globally renowned tech tycoon. With the exposure of Zhang Zubin, the president of Longtongue Group, the popularity of Sha Bingbing's livestream reached an unprecedented new height. At this time in Longtongue Group, manager Lu Wachang watched the entire process of the livestream. He secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, he just didn't deny the Longtongue glasses in Yuan Yuan's hand. At that moment, a netizen thought of an unbelievable possibility. He thought that I knew Zhang Zubin. It was highly likely that I had participated in investing in Longtongue Group back then. This comment flashed before Lu Nan's eyes. But it caught his attention. He immediately asked my mom eagerly. But after hearing my mom deny it, he pretended to be regretful while comforting. In reality, he felt a bit smug. However, my mom said that the demolition compensation now was several hundred million. Beyond the reach of ordinary people. Immediately left Lu Nan speechless. But surprisingly, a glimmer of gold suddenly flashed in Lu Nan's eyes. Because he remembered that it had been reported before. Zhang Zubin is still unmarried to this day. He then leaned next to my mother. To help fans inquire the specific release date of the Max version glasses. For this reason, he surprisingly asked for Zhang Shuiben's contact information. Although most netizens watched the livestream without thinking, there were still smart netizens who pointed it out directly. Mocking Lu Nan as a minor internet celebrity. Asking for the tech mogul's phone number. Even a sound from the butt would indicate impure intentions. But a large influx of tech enthusiasts had come before. Regardless of these sordid matters. They just wanted to know if they could buy the glasses from me. But they didn't expect to not get an answer from here. The official Longtongue account, however, posted that Longtongue Max glasses were now for sale. At this moment, not only the livestream room, even various sectors across the internet exploded instantly. A large number of netizens in the comments section stated that this was a form of hunger marketing, treating them like easy prey for profit. Then everyone is calling for resistance. Do not buy. But those leading the resistance, in the blink of an eye, they snatched up all the pre-sale slots on major platforms. They even published their payment records. Due to the rising popularity of Longtongue Group's pre-sales, confused tech enthusiasts flooded into the live streams of Sha Bingbing and Lu Nan, leading to record high viewer counts for the streams. However, Sha Bingbing wasn't as excited as Lu Nan. She was actually glad, for him it was The purpose of this visit, from start to finish, was to meet the mini version of the National Beauty. Meanwhile, Yi Kashin, who was still filming, watched the live stream here with interest. As for me, knowing Zhang Zubing from Longtang Group, he wasn't surprised, because he knew Zhang Zubing and I are sworn brothers. But Xia Bingbing didn't know this. Instead, she became even more curious about me. He learned from my mom. My real interest is delivering takeout. Usually at home, I do nothing, just like an unemployed drifter. But Lu Nan heard this beside me, and thought I was useless and uneducated. I didn't expect the netizens this time to outright oppose. Lu Nan must be crazy. Zhang has several, doesn't he? Still debating whether he has a job. Is this about seeking validation through Zhang? However, my daughter picked up E. With a proud look, my dad is a comic artist going home. At this moment, Lu Nan was stunned and almost laughed. But then thought again. After a few experiences of twists, he somewhat doubted that I really was a comic artist. But the next second, Yuan had already climbed on the back of the black pig, and dashed into her own room in a flash, finding a few paper airplanes inside. The paper airplanes handed over by Chong Lincha. Xia Bing looked at the paper airplanes handed to her by Jia. I don't really know what to say. If this is a comic manuscript, it definitely can't be used by kids to fold paper airplanes. But under the encouragement to play, Xia Bingbing unfolded the paper airplane. The airplane opened up. It turned out to be a clear black and white illustration. Although it's not very impressive, the expressions of the characters in the drawing are all vividly depicted, indicating that it is indeed a comic manuscript. Netizens eagerly urged Xia Bingbing to show it. But when the netizens saw it for the first time, they felt that the outlines of the characters in the drawing looked very familiar. Although the manuscript was crumpled after being folded into a paper airplane, the comic-loving netizens still recognized that the character resembled Zhang Chulin. However, just based on one character is not enough to prove that this is Zhang Chulin's manuscript. But when Xia Bingbing flipped it over, the entire livestream room exploded with excitement. Netizens hurriedly requested my home address. They all said they wanted to send me local specialties from various places. And Xia is not a comic book, so she doesn't understand the comic world. But based on the comments from netizens, she only then realized these manuscripts are national comics. In the luxurious hotel room, Yi Kashin lies in bed watching the live stream. She questions Lu Nan, her daughter. She really dislikes it. Over the years, she has been busy filming. Instead, she has overlooked a good husband who has silently supported her. This sentence seems nonsensical or incomplete, translation not possible. Otherwise, such a good husband. How come she is not the one with so much talent? Zhang is either a public figure or just a small town person. The Zhang family's live stream is still ongoing. Zhang Lin has been thinking about my identity, whether I am the #1 comic artist in Longguo. Some netizens could not hold back, and wanted them to check my study. Of course, without my consent. Xia Bingbing also didn't dare to go to the study. She could only look at my mom and ask, Aunt Lu, how long has it been since any classmates returned? My mom looked at the wall clock and replied, it should be soon, right? Suddenly, there was a commotion outside in the yard. Dad is back. The child immediately jumped down excitedly, ran out to the yard. Chong laughed and replied. But deep down, there was an uncontrollable excitement. The box is finally back. Lu Nan next to her wasn't as excited as Xia Bingbing. Meanwhile, the entire livestream chat was also buzzing. Great, the truth is about to come to light soon. Do you think Zhang is really a procrastinator? I hope Zhang is. Because then I can send him little gifts of love in the future. What little gifts of love? I think it's about 40 meters wide. Let's create in a while. I carried him in with one hand. Little ping. Dad came back for a moment. Chong was taken aback. His gaze quickly scanned around. Suddenly, he caught sight of a little person quietly sitting nearby reading. How long has she been ignoring this? The ones who understand will be enlightened. This is ignorance. Those who don't understand are being ignored. Clearly, she reminded me several times just now. Myself? Think about it yourself. Classmate Xia, classmate Lu. Study. Classmate Xia, classmate Lu. It is getting late. Why don't you stay at my house for a meal before going back? Papa. Big sister has already promised grandma to have dinner at home. I am ready. Yuan hugged my neck. He answered. Zhang, I will trouble you all tonight. Xia Bingbing said politely. Shared stories. Then you all talk to my mom first. I'll go to the kitchen and prepare. I smiled. What is the host still in a daze for? Hurry up and ask Zhang if he is the old thief delaying the updates. The crowd of viewers became anxious upon seeing me. They all tagged Xia Bingbing to quickly ask about the comics. But before Xia Bingbing could ask, Lu Nan, next to her, was the first to speak. Classmate Zhang, are you the one who plagiarizes drawings? I was taken aback for a moment and then asked, as if she was completely unfamiliar with Lu Nan's reference to the art plagiarist. Looking at my puzzled and bewildered expression, many viewers showed looks of disappointment. There were also a small number of viewers making sarcastic comments in a mocking tone. Disperse, disperse. If classmate Zhang was the one who delays updates, he couldn't possibly not know his own pen name. What a pity, I thought I had found the one who delays updates. It made me happy for nothing. Who says it's not? I bought a heart-shaped blade for nothing. Looks like I'll have to return it. I said, a person who hasn't even graduated high school. How could they possibly be the #1 comic artist in the Dragon Nation? Seeing Xia Bingbing and Lu Bu's disappointed expressions, I was a bit perplexed and asked, you were? We just thought you were. In recent years, the most popular manga artist in Longguo is known for tracing. Xia Bingbing shook her head and softly explained. I looked at the situation in my arms, feeling helpless and amused. Yuan immediately showed a cute and innocent smile. Daddy, I heard from the older sister that many people read the manga you drew. That was indeed drawn by me. In Lu Nan's eyes, I was just playing with words. Of course we know it's your work. It's a pity that you only draw fan art. Are you suggesting you could be the author of One Below? Lu Nan instinctively asked. I cleared my throat lightly, not blushing or losing my temper. How to sing? Theoretically speaking. In this country, he is the author. Suddenly, Lu Nan was stunned. A crowd of netizens were also taken aback. What does Zhang classmate mean? What does, theoretically speaking, mean? In this Longguo, he is the author. Can't the upstairs people understand? This is an acknowledgement that he is indeed the procrastinating thief. Although Xia Bingbing did not think I was the kind of person who speaks boastfully for the sake of face. But she still wanted to confirm. Head. It was just casually drawn. It's very playful too. Playing around is quite fun. She immediately turned to Lu Nan with a hint of pride. Auntie, my dad has taken it all. You wouldn't want me to have my dad provide evidence, would you? Lu Nan's expression suddenly turned bad. Many comic fans realized I am the procrastinator after all. Instantly excited, they transformed into little urges for updates. Brothers, you don't need to return the loving blades. Just send them directly to Zhang classmate. Understood. Why? Why is the procrastinator a thief who has bought it? So he must have a high demolition compensation, huh? But there are still some netizens doubting my identity. I still don't believe Zhang classmate is the procrastinator. Just because he admits it, does it make it true? What if I claim to be the richest person in the Dragon Country? Does that mean I am the richest in the Dragon Country? Those who still doubt Zhang classmate's identity, hurry and go check the official Yinji Man site. Meanwhile, the sound of the comic box department was heard. A seemingly polite man looked a bit hesitant. Won't it be a bit inappropriate for us to do this? After all, Zhang had previously instructed us not to reveal his identity. Did we expose him? A plump-looking, pleasant middle-aged man asked with a smile. The polite man was taken aback by the question. This seems to be something Zhang himself admitted. Over the years, we've helped him collect the blades sent by comic fans. Those who know understand we are a comic platform. Those who don't know might think we sell knives. We've collected several warehouses full of blades. I think even if our company doesn't make comics, selling scrap metal could still make a living. We won't need to urge him to update anymore. Let his fans do the urging. For a moment, the entire comic community seemed to explode. Many netizens rushed into Xia Bingbing's livestream, instantly causing the number of viewers in Xia Bingbing's livestream to skyrocket. She finds it hard to believe. She never expected that one day her livestream would be so popular. Lu, you don't need to doubt anymore. The official account has confirmed Yang's identity. Xia Bingbing smiled and looked at Lu Nan. Lu Nan glanced at Xia Bingbing, thinking she's blind. Classmate Zhang, you're amazing. You can actually draw such beautiful comics. Lu Nan immediately showed admiration. Her voice was also very charming. The corners of her mouth turned up slightly. This attitude is a bit too much. The viewers in the live stream also started to complain. Why does this streamer seem interested in classmate Zhang? Knowing Zhang is a lazy update thief. They just want to give him money. Why are you guys' thoughts so dirty? Our Nan is just talking with classmates. So what if he draws comics? What's so great about that? Compared to the manga artists from the island nation, they fall far behind. In no time, a group of netizens suddenly started to argue. Some netizens believe that Dragon Country's comics have already risen, although there is still a bit of distance from the island nation's comics. But as long as there is enough time, they can still catch up. However, they were immediately refuted by some netizens. There is no comparison between Dragon Country comics and Island Country comics. One is only known in a certain region. The other is globally renowned. Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto. Which one isn't popular globally? The problem is that these mangas all come from one person's hands. That mysterious big shot is named Ji Ni Taime. They are a globally renowned manga artist. And Zhang is only famous within Dragon Country. This is the gap. Speaking of which, the procrastinating old thief and that person from the island nation. The old thief Ji Mei has two common habits. One is that they both like to publish multiple mangas. The other is that they love to procrastinate on updates. Changlin naturally also noticed that the livestream was talking about that stunning comic artist from the island country. Bear Good. Extremely bizarre, which made her memorable. This stunning one is actually a comic artist from the island country. Several of her comics have become a global sensation. Although my comics are quite famous in the Dragon Country, they are not as well known on a global scale. Xia Bingbing noticed Lu Nan was still pestering me. She lightly chuckled and interrupted his inquiry. Classmate, I see that there are many of your fans in the livestream. They all really appreciate your work. When will those comics be updated? I cleared my throat lightly. I've been a bit busy lately. A few days, I suppose. Many viewers have no trust in my words. You haven't updated, under one person, for half a month. My Fox Demon Little Lady hasn't updated for almost a month either. So which comic will you actually be updating in a few days? Of course, it's Gen Street. The decision is final. A specific time must be given. Otherwise, we won't believe it. Many netizens have no trust at all. After all, the procrastinator is a habitual offender. Dad, we can't disappoint our older brothers and sisters. Yuan said with her bright eyes wide open. I find it a bit laughable and frustrating. One Thursday. All updates. Wow. All comics updated. Awesome. Why do I feel like Zhang is watching? It's updated just to save face for Yuan. I remember Zhang has about 10 comics. Can he finish them? But for his daughter, the procrastinator is fighting hard. Many netizens questioned my reply, thinking there must be drafts. After all, How can one person simultaneously manage to update more than 10 comics in a week? So, I suggested Shaw Bingbing check out my study. Collected the netizens' requests. I smiled and nodded, then took them to the study. As soon as I entered the study, I received a call from my wife. I let them explore on their own as I answered the call. People left. Shaw Bingbing felt uneasy about moving around in the study. However, Lu Nan didn't have so many reservations. She casually reached for a book from the bookshelf. The title of this comic is not in the language of our dragon country. Instead, it's in the language of the island country. In other words, this is a comic book from the island country. And it's not just one book. There's an entire row of books neatly arranged. Displayed are the comic books from the island country. Oh, isn't this a comic by the artist Jimei? Could it be that classmate Zhang is a fan of Jimei? This is the gap. Our dragon country's top comic artist actually reads comics by the most popular comic artist from the island country. Meanwhile, that person probably doesn't even know who I am. A group of netizens did not expect to find an unexpected discovery in the study. Shaw Bingbing noticed the live stream chat. Suddenly multi-banned my comments. Someone compared me to the comic artist from the island country, saying that I worship foreign things. There are even people saying that I've plagiarized island comics. Her first feeling was that the military was guiding public opinion. At that moment, I returned after finishing the call. After seeing me, Lu Nan immediately put the comic back to its original place. She forced a charming smile and said, I didn't expect you, Zhang, to also be a fan of the beautiful genie. Zhang, I see many people in the live stream comparing you to the manga and that goddess from the island. How do you think your manga compares to the manga of that goddess? Shaw Bingbing's expression changed. This is a death question. Because whether I praise it or downplay it saying the other is better, I will be criticized by the netizens. Just then, Yuan, who had just finished a call with her mother, happily ran in from outside. Daddy, Mom said she would come back for dinner tonight. I want to tell Big Brother to listen. I smiled and rubbed Yuan's little head. Seeing Yuan so happy that Mom would come home, Sha Lin couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions, both sighing and heartbroken. She couldn't help but complain inwardly. Meeting organizer. The wife in charge of the meeting does not let down her duties. Clearly, they have 2 children. Why not take some time to be with the children? Zhang, you haven't answered my question yet. How do you think your comics compare to those from Japan? How about that comic from the beautiful genie? At this moment, Lu Nan spoke again. Hearing this, she confidently said, I think my dad's comics must be really beautiful. Hearing Yuan say my comics are better than that great Japanese comic artist, Lu Nan's eyes brightened immediately. That's not necessarily true. Yuan, your dad is also a fan of his. Look, these comics are all collected by your dad. You say you're talking nonsense. Feeling annoyed, angrily. Those comics aren't collected by dad. They were given to my dad by someone else. My dad doesn't want them and still asks Chen. How could Lu Nan possibly believe what a little girl says? In her opinion, Yuan is acting in a frustrated manner. Is it dad? Seeing Lu Nan's skeptical expression, she pouted and said, nodding while smiling, look, my dad is like this too. But in the eyes of many netizens, my actions are to avoid disappointing Yuan. I said so. It's obvious that Zhang is trying not to let his daughter down. Unforced acknowledgement. Lu Nan feigned surprise. In fact, Lu Nan also thinks I am too afraid to answer her questions. That's strange then. Why would others send you the beautiful genie comics? It should be sent to me for verification. I replied. Sent to you for checking. Lu Nan was stunned for a moment and instinctively asked, Summer Bingbing's blanket. Shaw Bingbing looked at the selection in surprise. What do you mean send it to me? Get lost. You should know these illustrations. But the manga from the beautiful Japanese artist is too stunning. Why should it be sent to me? It's not just Lu Nan and Shaw Bingbing who are confused. Even the audience in the livestream was baffled. This is hilarious. Who does Zhang think he is? To be able to get a prestigious Japanese god, the manga artist sends their work to him for confirmation. It's obvious that he's just talking nonsense. Some viewers quickly caught on and began to mock and discuss. 1, 2. I got goosebumps all over. Classmate. Do you mean? In the end, Shaw Bingbing suddenly couldn't bring herself to say it. The words that followed were truly shocking. Lu Nan also realized. Her face went pale, and she originally wanted to ask, what evidence do you have to say that you are the stunning Japanese artist? But she couldn't get the words out. The livestream chat exploded. Many viewers expressed skepticism. After all, how can one person possibly update so many manga series? What the heck, no way. How is this possible? I can't believe Zhang Fan is the leading pervert. After all, he's not a lady. Just casually chatting, and he ends up with several? It must be a scholarly return to ceramics. It's getting late. I should go cook now. Saying that, I ignored Lu Nan and turned to leave. Watching the 3 of us leave, Lu Nan suddenly thought of something. Immediately took a comic book from the nearby bookshelf. Started flipping through it. Finally stopped at the last page. When she saw the contents of the last page, she was completely stunned. What the heck? The cover is in the language of an island country, but the content inside is in the language of the Dragon Nation. Sample book. This is a sample book. A few copies are printed before the book is published, for the editor to check and verify the book. Generally, only the editor responsible for the book, and the original author can receive it. What the heck, the leading pervert is him too. It's precisely because he has to update so many comics that he often delays updates. My identity being exposed quickly sparked another online frenzy. On the other side, Yi Kashin was on her way home. When my new identity was revealed, Yi Kashin was stunned. Previously, I only knew that my husband's comics were very famous in the country. I didn't expect him to also have a small account over in the island nation. What else is my husband hiding from me? I have to ask him properly when I get home later. Thinking of this, Yi Kashin couldn't help but smile. Sha Bingbing and I then entered the kitchen to start preparing dinner. At that moment, Lu Nan walked in from outside, her face full of smiles. Classmates, Ku Shui. Do you need my help? I didn't even look up and declined. Classmate Ku, how are you able to? One person can draw so many comics at the same time? Lu Nan didn't want to miss out on the trending popularity. I looked at her and responded lightly. Just draw like that. Lu Nan was left speechless. Some netizens doubted me. Behind it, there is a comic team. After all, one person simply cannot draw that many comics. Classmate Zhang, do you have a dedicated team for drawing comics? Lu Nan understands the secrets of getting views. He knows what the viewers want to see and know. I stopped what I was doing and calmly looked at Lu Nan. Why do you think so? Because many viewers in the livestream say so. Lu Nan unhesitatingly attributed the reason to the viewers in the livestream. Anyway, the viewers in the livestream indeed said so. My dad doesn't have a painting team at all. My dad doesn't have a drawing team. He draws everything himself. I often watch my dad draw. He draws so fast, he can finish a drawing in no time. Yuan raised her chin, her cute little face filled with confidence. Yuan went to the study to get her dad a piece of white paper and a pencil. Suddenly, I turned my gaze toward Yuan. Yuan ran to the study without a second thought. In no time, she handed me a pen and a blank sheet of paper. Then I immediately leaned over the desk and started drawing. I could see my hand gripping the pen moving quickly. The pen tip seemed to be pulling a thread. A continuous fine line tangled and twisted chaotically on the paper. Soon, scenes, characters, and dialogues appeared before my eyes. Sha Bingbing was stunned. Lu Nan was also taken aback. The audience in the live streaming room fell completely silent as well. Wow. After a while, the live stream room was flooded with those two words. Good. I then put down the pen and looked at my work with satisfaction. I nodded at the completed drawing on the table. For a moment, many viewers were completely shocked. During the following time, I started bustling around in the kitchen again. To avoid disturbing me, Sha Bingbing played with the child in the yard. She also brought Lu Nan out with her. At that moment, a stunningly beautiful woman approached the three of them. She is indeed known as the national goddess, Kashin.